should go with the yellow hat today. It's not yellow today. Good morning. Happy Thursday, everybody. Wherever you are, however you may be listening, thanks for making us part of your day. This is the Fuck You Apple Hat. Did anybody get it right today? Don't know if anybody got it today. Sorry about yesterday. My internet crashed and nobody could figure it out. I have a weird internet company. Like I'm the only place in my city that has this internet, like the development that I'm in. And so when it goes down, it's a real small company too. So I sat on hold for like an hour, and then they're like, your internet's not down. I was like, well, it's not working. And then they said, cool, we'll tell tech support, and they'll call you if they need anything. And then about an hour later, my internet just started working. So sorry about that. I felt like we were just getting there, too. We were going to talk shit about Andrew Wilson, which we'll keep on the show today. We'll get there. So I apologize. Thanks, everybody, our members, for coming out for movie night last night. We watched the first 2 episodes of The Company Retreat, which was amazing. Followed by an Ask Me Anything that you all missed for Jen. And we did Ask Me Anything, and then I just answered for Jen. And I got probably 60% of the answers right. Is that correct, Jen?
You started doing the Ask Me Anything before I was there. So I don't know what you answered for some of the ones before I got there. But, a lot of them you got right when I was there. So
I think it was only one. I think there was only one question before you got back. Jen suspiciously disappeared during the movies.
I had a call. I have other things that I do besides the show. As much as I'm involved, there are.
We found out what you do outside of the show last night.
Yeah, I go on dates.
Date tonight.
Yes, date tonight.
Exciting. Tell us about
him. He's tall.
Yeah. Jen is a sizist. But only a heightist. How about that?
I guess it could be a sizist in other ways.
Okay. That's enough.
That's enough. That can take a little longer than the first date, or maybe not. Who knows? But
where are we going tonight?
We're going to a grill, like a bar and grill. So.
Bar and a grill. Do you drink? You're not much of a drinker, right?
I drink. Yes, I do drink alcohol, but I don't make it a habit or anything. I don't like.
Is it wine? Let's get wine.
I can drink wine or like mixed drinks.
Or just like vodka and blood, vodka and human blood.
Yeah, tears, vodka and tears of the souls that have displeased me. So.
What's your go-to drink?
The last time I went out, I couldn't think of it because I haven't gone out in a while. It had been a while, so I got a vodka Red Bull is what I got.
Okay, you threw it back. You're too old for vodka Red Bull. You can't be doing that. That's late at night. All right. Somebody said, what did they say? Forgot. Jen's the size queen confirmed. Somebody asked to go. Oh, the height minimum. You gave us a height minimum yesterday. It's 5'10", right?
Yeah.
But that's pushing it. If it doesn't start with a 6, you better have a good personality.
Yeah. It's 6. I've gone for tall men as long as I dated a guy who was 6'6".
Have you ever made it to 7?
Not 7. I haven't gotten to 7-footer yet.
Are you okay with 7 if it starts with a 7?
That can be really awkward. That can be awkward. So 7 would be good. I'd be open to it, but it could be that could be tricky. So.
Okay. Let us know if you get to a 7. If your height starts with a 7, go ahead and hit Jen up in the DMs and shoot your shot.
You can try. I can't guarantee. I'm 5'3", so I'm not tall. But
yeah, small queen going for tall kings. It's very interesting. Trying to make a medium-sized child.
Well, my spawn, she
like medium height?
She's 12, and she's like 5 feet tall now. Her dad is 6'3", so hopefully she'll be balanced out a little bit.
Are you reading the comments?
I'm just scanning. Oh, and Dragon Wizard, Stephen. Is that what you're laughing at?
You're 6'1" somehow, Dragon Wizard. Good for you. All right, 5'3" is a little short. Hey, that's rude. I'm 5'4", dated
I mean,
6'5" at the tallest, but married someone who's 5'10". That's nice. 6 inches is about right. I've heard that's a good.
what she said.
It's not what you said, apparently. All right, do your announcements.
No, Robert, you're not on the list. Absolutely not. I'd rather deep throat a cactus.
Robert is definitely on a list somewhere.
He's on a list, just not my list.
Yeah, probably a no-fly list for sure.
Exactly. All right. So since we had to wrap up a little sooner than we wanted to yesterday, we're back again. So we didn't get to.
Speaking of which, Jen, sorry, do you believe? Are you wrapping up?
Duh. That's stupid.
All right.
It's 2026.
Hey,
don't be
as us being best friends, I need to check on that.
You don't want to know these answers. Like when I actually
that one I do. I want to know that. I want to know that you're being safe. I want to know that you're being safe. There's a lot of dirty dicks out there.
So you don't want to hear that, like if I'm out raw dogging something.
Like you just. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You go back to your announcements. My bad.
Right. That's what I thought. Anyways, so yeah, we had to end a little early yesterday, so we didn't get to finish off that gift goal. So if we want to do some overtime today, that would be fantastic. So we've got Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all that good towards knocking out the gift goal. We do this each day, Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 1 Pacific time, as long as Jay's internet's working. So this is our job. This is how we pay our bills, and we do this through the donations you send. If you haven't subscribed to us already, on Amazon, on Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime sub and use Baseless's money. You don't have to use your own. And then we have 3 different memberships on YouTube, and you can join us for members only events. Except for you, Robert, you can't join.
Join us for the fucking members only events, by the way. It's so fun. I don't know. There's so many of you that are members that don't join us for movie night. Do it. Even those that were like, I'm not watching the show last night. You should have. Even if you missed the show we were watching, the chat is unbelievable. I highly recommend movie nights, and those may be moving to Wednesday nights. We'll see.
Yeah, movie nights are fun. I mean, I just had the Jay was answering questions for me.
Yeah, and Jen's super uncensored, and I'm usually super elevated, so we have a good time, and it's not recorded, so we can.
You stop saying that. Someone's gonna end up starting recording it, and then there's gonna be a call out live somehow. And
fuck, I forgot about that. It's gonna be a call out live for you though. No, it's gonna get me.
Sure. I mean, sure. I mean, but I own everything I do. Like, I don't deny what I am or how I am. So it's call me out for that.
What are they going to call me out for? Religious trauma that makes me act like a toddler when people bring up awkward things? Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah. So Jacob sent a Venmo saying, thanks so much for the daily education. I've learned so much from you since you started your show from back in the Felice days.
Ah, thank you. Shout out Felice, wherever she is. Haven't seen her in a long time. Hope she's doing well. If anybody sees her, tell her we said we hope she's doing well.
And then Axe said on Super Chats, my girlfriend asked for an Australian kiss. I said, what is that? French kiss, but not down under. A great show.
And Midwest says, hopefully your absolute dog shit Wi-Fi works today. Not even Wi-Fi, Ethernet too. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. So.
And then, sorry, one more came through. Hold on one second. Our friend Asta Sophia. Hi. Starting a dollar train. Well, since there was no show yesterday, I ended up on Michael Jackson's movie at the theater. There's a Michael Jackson movie right now?
Sure.
I didn't know that.
Didn't either.
All right.
So I don't know if this is new or newer, because I noticed it, but on YouTube there's fun little like gifts get sent over there. I don't know if you probably don't see them with the Streamlabs, but
on what?
On YouTube, like
there is
Nacho Jake sent one that sent a sun balloon, and there's other ones that like it's kind of, they kind of look like TikTok gifts. I don't know what they translate to.
Oh, thanks for that. I don't see them. I wonder if we have to update something on Streamlabs so we can see those.
Possible. Like all we can see. We'll figure that out. But anyways, so yeah, we're gonna get going here. If you guys disagree with our TP, we're still kind of earlier in. But if any of you guys are opposition, you want to come up and talk to RTP, you can do that. If you send me a message on Discord, my Discord username is the same as the Venmo username. So Jen with 2 N's, Deb with 2 B's, the number 1. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch. Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. So yeah, if we're going to knock out that gift goal, that would be dope. Where do mansplainers get their water?
First of all, I hope people make fun of you when you say dope, because people make fun of me when I say dope. What was the question again?
Why do people make fun of you because you say dope?
I don't know. I think it makes me sound boomerish. I said word yesterday and I got in trouble. I got made fun of for that one too.
But that's not really a boomer thing. I'll send you pictures of
I think me saying it is a little boomery because it's outdated. I think that's what they were getting at. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like record some of these gifts and send them over because they're cool. Like there was a goat that just came through. There's perfume. There was
Power Potion goat trophy. Does it? Them sending the gift, is that why it says goat trophy, or are people writing goat trophy?
Yeah, it pops up like a little animation.
Oh, okay.
Like a goat trophy came up, so you know, I'll have to like record it somehow.
Gen Xer is telling me, defending me for saying word and dope is not helping.
That's what I was going to say.
You're not helping the cause.
I was saying that's more of a Gen X type word. That's where my brain went.
All right.
But anyways, so where do mansplainers get their water?
I don't know.
From actually.
Yes, we did one. I like that one, actually. Damien said today's dues and yesterday's dues. Thank you. Make sure we're getting our Antifa dues in early before the end of the month so that you are not booted from Antifa. If you know that if you're late, you pay a late fee. Plus, you have to use the masks that have already been used. You get last pick on our Antifa masks. So when we go and we protest, you don't want to have a dirty, smelly mask. So make sure you get those in early. All right, let's get shit started. First of all, democracy's dead in the way that it used to exist in this country. We covered Virginia yesterday. Again, Democrats did the right thing with what they did in Virginia. The voters voted. They decided to redistrict, cutting out the GOP down to one district. Texas, of course, did this. The courts ruled against Texas, and God bless our dumb fucking Supreme Court, who's just like, never mind, Texas can do this without the consent of their voters. And here's Jake Tapper to explain.
A major update from the U.S. Supreme Court on that Texas redistricting case. You'll remember Republicans in the state in an unusual
Love the jokes. Thanks, Christina. Sophia said, I wish I could join movie nights. Well, time zone kind of sucks sometimes. And yes, Michael Jackson has a biopic. His nephew plays him. Recommend. Okay, I'll check it out.
Decade review redrew the maps, the congressional maps earlier this year. Let's get right to CNN Chief Supreme Court Analyst Joan Biskupic. Joan, what is the latest news from the U.S. Supreme Court?
Very big news, Jake, both politically and legally. The Supreme Court, the conservative majority over the dissent of the three liberals, has said that Texas can use the map that it drew last summer to provide potentially 5 new districts that could flip Republican and enhance the Republican majority in the U.S. House. And what they said is that a U.S.
Looks like a young Pelosi a little bit, yeah.
Special U.S. District Court panel that had invalidated this map, saying it was drawn on unconstitutional racial lines, that Texas had actually...
Yeah, important to remember that Texas drew this. They pulled up the racial demographics, and because they know statistically how different racial demographics vote, they broke these districts up into ways where they would split like Hispanic neighborhoods and black neighborhoods, which of course is unconstitutional, which of course is racist. And there is some protection, like they said here, like you can actually divide along political lines, which also shouldn't be allowed, which is also fucking stupid that you can do that. But when people said like Trump made it okay to be racist again and that he would put in courts that would allow racism, this is exactly what we're talking about. They legitimately are cutting out groups of voters who tend to vote historically in one direction, and they're cutting those votes up and mixing them in with conservative votes to make sure the conservatives win. Like, and our Supreme Court's just like, that's fine, we can do that. We talked about Virginia yesterday, Maverick. That's why we're not talking about Virginia right now. It wouldn't matter what I was talking about. Someone would be like, why aren't you talking about what? In fact, 38 seconds ago, I brought up Virginia, and I said I didn't like that either, but Democrats made the right move. I hate all of this. It's all terrible. But it is also important to remember that none of this was happening until Republicans decided they were going to cheat, and the Democrats had no choice but to then cheat like the Republicans.
Actually divided people up by race. this district court had said that, and Texas had come up.
Just got here and you just started complaining. All right, well, just hold on for a second then.
Here and appealed it, backed by the Trump administration. Today, the Supreme Court majority said no. That's
a good point too. Sorry, I just started to keep stopping it. But Virginians also voted for this. This was the government overriding the will of the people. In Virginia, it was the people making a decision. Same with California. It is, at the very least, I don't like it, but it's democratic. This isn't democratic. This is big government, overreach, like deep state shit. All the stuff you pretend that you hate. Say what you want about the Democrats. They've done it legally. They've done it through votes, and the people of those states have spoken.
Map deserved more deference from the district court. The district court should have taken into account a presumption of legislative good faith. That's been a standard that Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Samuel Alito have been.
That's such a dumb part of this ruling. You think the Supreme Court needs to take in to consideration legislative good faith. We're supposed to believe our legislatures, especially the Texas legislature. We need to consider that they're doing things in good faith and not just because Donald Trump said so. Never tried to do this. Trump told them to do it and they did it. And we're like, well, we should consider that they're doing this in good faith. For sure.
And really pushing over the years to sort of let states do what they want to do, even if there could be a cloud of racial division there. So you had the conservative majority essentially now locking in this new Texas map that you remember has triggered all this off-year redistricting throughout the country and at the goading of President Trump to shore up his majority. Let me tell you a little bit about what the liberal dissenters said had happened here. Justice Kagan, writing on behalf of herself and Sonia Sotomayor and Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, pointed to the fact that a district court had held 9 days of hearing, combed through thousands of pages of testimony about what had gone on in Texas. And this district court had also put a lot of attention on a letter from the Office of Civil Rights in the Trump administration that had pushed.
Jacob said, thank you so much for the daily education. I've learned so much from you since the start. Oh, we read that one in Antifa News. Sorry about that.
The Texas legislature to draw along racial lines. And the district court had found that indeed that this had been an unconstitutional racial gerrymander, that it wasn't drawn just on political lines, which, Jake, is allowed under the Constitution. You can divide people up based on their politics, but you cannot divide people up based on their race.
Both of those should be, can we agree? Let's see if we can get some agreement with Republicans here. Can we agree that none of this should be allowed? Can we agree that like gerrymandering should just not be allowed? I can agree that both Democrats and Republicans are doing it. Can we agree that this is stupid? That it's fucking stupid that we allow politicians to change the way districts are formed just so that they can maintain power? Can we just thumbs up if you think it should be no longer be allowed? Thumbs down if let's do it the other way. Thumbs up if you think it should be allowed. Thumbs down if you don't. Let's see if we can get some agreement here. I feel like this is one of those things that we should be able to agree upon here. Robert goes with yes. We go thumbs up, thumbs down. Robert goes yes. Robert, that's why you're not on the list, bud. You got to take direction. All right. Then 100. Fucking Robert, idiot. B87 GT said, remember, folks, if Greg Abbott would have stood up to the president, this would have never happened. Come on. Come on, man. All right. Remember how, I don't even know that we covered it that much, but remember that story that Kash Patel is a drunk and he has to be, his security detail had to use like breaching tools to get into his, I think, hotel room because they couldn't reach him as the FBI director because allegedly he drinks too much. So he held a press conference where he's like, I definitely don't drink too much, where he seemed drunk. Well, then they had this press conference where Todd Blanche and Kash Patel showed up to announce a grand jury indictment. I don't know why there's music at the beginning of this. Who is this? The Economic Times? I'm not sure why they added music at the beginning. This is just some highlights from that press conference. It was like 30 minutes long. This is fucking pathetic. This is one of the most embarrassingly pathetic indictments I've ever seen in my life.
Returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud.
Soup for my phone. Good time. You read up on the Southern poverty case? Yeah, well, we're going to talk about it.
4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. In total, according to the indictment, between
just real quick, sorry, let me go back here because the press conference is going to be important, but listen to what the charges actually are and then what they talk about in the press conference.
And charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud.
Wire fraud?
4 counts of bank fraud.
Bank fraud.
And 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering.
Okay, money laundering.
In total, according to the indictment, between 2014 and 2023, SPLC paid at least $3 million to 8 individuals at least.
They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups.
Can you guys watch the Black Klansman? What the Southern Poverty Law Center was doing was paying people to get information on radical extremist groups to infiltrate them. What they're now trying to spin this as is the Southern Poverty Law Center was funding these organizations. Now, I don't know what the money laundering I don't know how solid those money laundering charges are. If they did it in an illegal way, that's fine. But this is pretty fucking funny, honestly, coming from the right. Like, you guys are the party. I know that they always love to say Democrats are the party of the KKK. That's fine. Sure, the KKK was founded by Democrats at the time, or maybe it was Dixiecrats. I don't really remember. That's all true. But who are the white nationalists with now? Like, who are the Proud Boys with now? Who is Patriot Front with now? Who's the KKK with now? We all know who they're with. We can go, but like, I don't know why Republicans think it's a compelling argument that's like, actually, back in the 1800s, yeah, things changed. But what about now? So what we're finding out here is that the Southern Poverty Law Center was giving money to right-wing extremist groups who love and support Donald Trump, right-wing extremist groups that Kash Patel has been friendly with. And now they're pretending that this is that they're funding them. Like, are we going to talk about Trump pardoning them? Are we going to talk about him commuting sentences for white nationalists? Aren't these the very fine people he was talking about? Why are they now upset at the Southern Poverty Law Center for giving money to those very fine people?
Today, a few minutes ago.
Proud Boys are not a racist group. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Yeah, no, Proud Boys definitely are not racist, for sure. Because Enrique Tarrio is, Cuban, so they can't be racist. I forgot about that.
In the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering.
You don't think he said there were very fine people on both sides? Oh, okay, John. Let's see, John, real quick. Well, important to note a couple things while we find this. One, this was a grand jury indictment, which simply means that there's enough evidence that they think they can take it to trial. And secondly, it was in Alabama. And let's just be honest about this. Is this the thing that he didn't say, John?
The alt-left and white supremacists on the same moral plane.
I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, or you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is.
That wasn't the way that it was, but appreciate that. Let's get the full quote here, John.
On both sides, sir, you said there was hatred, there was violence on both sides.
Well, I do think there's blame. Yes, I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it.
I agree with that.
And you don't have any doubt about it either.
I agree with all that. John, John, relax, bud. We're playing his actual quote here. We're going to play the whole thing. So far, I agree with that. There's blame on both sides there. Got it?
And if you reported it accurately, you would say.
Neo-Nazis started this. They showed up in Charlottesville. They showed up in Charlottesville to protest.
Excuse me. They didn't put themselves down as neo. And you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me.
Okay, John, now I need you to tell me who the very fine people were. Now, the people marching, not all were chanting it, but the people marching were chanting, Jews will not replace us. Are you a very fine people if you continue to march with people who are chanting, Jews will not replace us? Could you point to when I watch that march and I see the people chanting, who were the very fine people that marched with the Nazis? I wouldn't, maybe we just have a different definition of very fine people. If you are marching with Nazis who are chanting, Jews will not replace us, and you don't immediately leave the group, I do not consider you a very fine person. John, can you tell me who the very fine people were? John, I just played the full fucking quote. John, I just played the full quote. All right, we'll continue the clip. That's fine. I'm just wondering, because this is what John said I left out.
Excuse me. I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue. And
a statue of a traitorous, racist Confederate who fought to keep slavery. Not a very fine. If you are fighting to keep up statues of slave owners, I do not consider you, or not. I'm maybe not a slave owner. People who fought to continue slavery. I do not find you to be a very fine person.
The renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name.
Yes.
George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner?
Yes.
So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down?
Yeah, we should be honest about George Washington. We should talk about the fact that George Washington was a virulent racist. We should do that.
Excuse me. Are we going to take down? Are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah, take those down too. That's fine.
You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history. You're changing culture.
No, we're taking down statues of slave owners. Or people. I don't. Did Robert E. Lee own slaves? I don't know enough about him. I know that he seceded from the country and he went to war against the United States. He was a traitor. I know that.
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis.
Yeah, slavery was all over the world. It is still happening today, and I think in all instances it is bad. John, none of this is hypocritical. Did you see how I just disavowed George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and everybody who owns slaves? The one thing I wouldn't do is show up publicly to defend a statue of a treasonous man who tried to overthrow the United States and supported slavery. It's pretty easy.
And the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But
white nationalists should be condemned totally. Great. So then who were the people marching with the white nationalists that were good people? John? Not you, John the Fourth. John Johnson. Who were the good people marching with the neo-Nazis who were chanting, Jews will not replace us? No. Taking down, John, shut the fuck up. Taking down a statue does not delete history. I don't know if I've ever been in the presence of a George Washington or Thomas Jefferson statue, and yet I'm very aware of their existence. This is just bitch shit. Who are the good people? No, John. We're talking about the attacks, like the fighting in Charlottesville. The fighting happened as two groups marched towards each other. So who were the very fine people with the neo-Nazis that were marching? Who were they? Robert E. Lee did personally own slaves. Thank you. I appreciated that. I appreciate that. Yeah, so fuck Robert E. Lee for another reason then. Not only was he a traitor, not only did he try and overthrow our country, but he personally owned slaves and believed slavery was okay. Yeah, fuck that guy. Statues is part of our history. No, it's not. It's not. The history exists without statues. You don't need statues. We have the fucking internet. What do you need a statue for? Well, the other groups of people weren't part of the fight, John. What they're discussing here is the car that drove through the crowd and the two groups of people who were marching towards each other who fought. So if there was another group of people who wasn't involved in this, then yes, I believe there could be other very fine people. But if you were there to protest taking down a statue of Robert E. Lee, I do not consider you a very fine person. I consider you, at the very least, a slavery apologist.
Many people in that group.
Good point, Brian. I don't see any Hitler statues in Germany. Oh, they must not know about Hitler in Germany because there's no statues of him.
Other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits.
Oh no!
And with the helmets and with the baseball bats.
Oh no!
You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
Cool. Yeah. Nobody has ever taken this out of context. You guys are just whiners. Anyways, let's go back to
one count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC.
That's a good point. Shouldn't they have been happy that Democrat statues were being taken down? Yeah, you would think so.
Is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment.
Okay, so the Southern Poverty Law Center, just to recap there, says that they were paying these groups, they were paying insiders to get information to bring down these groups. Now, they have done that. The Southern Poverty Law Center consistently does this. They have infiltrated extremist groups. They have got inside information, and then they have sued them. They've passed that information along to law enforcement, and they have brought down groups. I don't know what's wrong with that. Hopefully, they'll explain the money laundering part here.
Describes the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. The indictment describes this.
Is that what they were paying them for? This case is going absolutely nowhere.
Conduct in detail, but one troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 that resulted.
Wait, but the Unite the Right protest was where was the statue. That was the very fine people, right? So were they funding very fine people, John?
In the death of one person and injured dozens more. This particular person being paid by the SPLC allegedly received approximately $270,000 over the course of 8 years.
Is Trump the reincarnation of Roman Emperor Caligula? IMFRCD, I can indict a ham sandwich. Yeah, the indictments mean very little, especially an indictment coming out of a very conservative district where I'm going to guess Trump appointed that judge. Does anybody know? There were two sides of the Civil War, progressives who wanted to end slavery and they fought against those who wanted to conserve slavery. When the conservatives were on the side of slavery, that's crazy. Remember, I got that one.
In total, according to the indictment, between 2014 and 2023, SPLC paid at least $3 million to 8 individuals at least. These individuals were affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, National Socialist Movement, Aryan Nations affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club.
This is like the entire Republican base. Shane said Republicans only want the win for them, never for anyone else. It's not a sports game. No one wins or loses in politics. Either we all win or we all lose. That's really important to remember. In this gerrymandering fight, which is what you're referencing, we do all lose.
National Socialist Party of America, Nazis, and the American Front. Now, as the indictment lays out, after SPLC paid members of these extremist groups, it created work product that reported on these activities that the members participated in or contributed to. And to that end...
Will, help me out with it. So you said they set up shell companies to pay people to inform, puts those people in harm's way, and that's illegal if you aren't law enforcement. Is that? I mean, private investigators do that all the time. Is that illegal? I'm not an expert here. Do we have any lawyers here? Is that illegal? I'm asking honestly. I don't know. I know that's what private investigators do, though. Big companies set up for the payments or fraud. Are they? If it's not illegal to pay an informant then setting up an LLC in a different name to pay them through, that's not illegal. In fact, that's the opposite. Why would you go through the hassle of setting up an LLC to pay them through? Why wouldn't you just pay them under the table?
Well, I was talking about this on live earlier. It's not illegal. None of this is illegal.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what stat. If you can find one, it's not investigating. If you can find a statute, they're not citing one here, but as far as I know, that's not illegal. IMF RCD said, look up the United Daughters of the Confederacy. They put up most of the statutes.
It was doing the exact opposite of what it's told its donors it was doing. Not dismantling extremism, but funding it. To carry out this scheme, SPLC created bank accounts in the name of at least 5 completely fictitious organizations.
You can't. How did they set up the bank account if they were fictitious organizations? As somebody who operates under an LLC, I had to prove who I was. I had to go and register with the state. I had to have a business name. I have a DBA. What makes it fictitious? I don't understand these charges. Why is it fictitious? Are the banks just allowing them to like set up an account with a fake name? I don't think so. Is that what they're saying?
That had no bona fide employees or legitimate business purpose.
I don't have any employees either. And if their legitimate business purpose is to give people money to inform, if that's not against the law, that's a legitimate business purpose, right?
They opened up as sole proprietors.
What's that?
They were opened as sole proprietors, so the names are considered the same as the business. So they were opened up as sole proprietorships.
Oh, they were. So they weren't even LLCs. They were just sole proprietorships.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think none of this sounds illegal to me.
Money was passed from SPLC to one sham account to a second sham account and then loaded onto prepaid cards.
He says that Daughters org is racist and problematic, to say the least. I question if this is a false flag to discredit the organization, and I trust anything. Say, of course, it's a false flag. Yeah, no, this is obviously a false flag. You know, all this is right now is Kash Patel trying to shift the blame. And both of these guys had terrible weeks. This guy, it's been exposed, like his own people are just consistently tattling on him, and Todd Blanche is being absolutely eviscerated for covering up the Epstein files. This is one big distraction. This will go absolutely fucking nowhere. Where's John? John, anybody want this bet? $100 says none of these charges will ever stick, and I'll take up to 10 of these bets. Does anybody want them? Anybody want $100 bet that these charges won't show up? And if you ever show up after you make these bets, then you can't be here anymore. There's a 0% chance that any of these charges stick.
To give to the members of the extremist groups. This was designed to shield the source of those funds, and because of this, SPLC is also charged with one count, as I said earlier, of conspiracy to commit money laundering. In conclusion,
sorry, Jen Soup wants you to read them a bedtime story. You're gonna take that up with Jen on her. That's on her OnlyFans.
I want to thank the acting U.S. Attorney in the Middle District of Alabama, Kevin Davidson, who's in his district right now and not able to be with us, for bringing this important case, along with the FBI team in Alabama for their hard work during this investigation. This investigation is ongoing, and I'd like to ask Director Patel to say a few words as well.
Wait, hold on. Is it white knighting to say that these charges suck? Why? Because the Southern Poverty Law Center stands up for oppressed people, including like minority groups. Is that what you're saying? So if you side with the Southern Poverty Law Center, you're white knighting. Your racism is showing. Who's the owl next to the speaker? Read it, Cash. There you go.
Thank you, General Blanche.
Excuse me. What? Hold on. Thank you. Who?
Thank you, General Blanche.
General Blanche. Okay. I'd also like to thank Captain Crunch for fueling my breakfast today. I sprinkled it with whiskey and cocaine so that I could get my eyes this wide and my nerves this calm. He's a mess, by the way. He's really struggling. This is it's gonna be hard to watch. Resting owl face. Get the fuck out of here. Resting owl face is amazing.
Here today is to announce what the general just told you. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in a massive
sniffles.
Sweeping indictment, has been charged.
No, he sniffed off the dust off his Captain Crunch this morning.
Allegations of fraud and using the banking system to perpetrate that fraud. I just want to talk about a couple of brief things here. The Southern Poverty Law Center themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups.
So far, no crimes.
However,
okay.
The SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups.
To inform, which sounds totally lawful.
I just want to say that again. They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to.
Wait, why was the money raised fraudulently? I can't believe Cash didn't see this coming. Yeah, keep your head on a swivel, dog.
Donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually.
No, Hooch, it's not slander because it's a grand jury indictment, so they would never win that case. They're not going to. I mean, you could say it's slanderous, but it's not like legally slander.
Pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups. The groups, as the general laid out, include the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, Unite to Right, National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement, the Aryan Nation Motorcycle Club, and the National Socialist Party of America, and also the American Front. In at least one of these matters, our investigation.
Just want to be clear that if you are opposition to the Southern Poverty Law Center, you think they're the bad guys. These are the groups they're going after. Technically, you're on this side, which would be the Nazis and the white nationalists.
Revealed that funds were used to facilitate the commission of further state and federal offenses, totaling over $3 million. Furthermore, our investigation revealed that the Southern Poverty Law Center, on top of perpetuating this widespread, decade-long, multi-million-dollar fraud, conducted more criminal activity.
What's the fraud? Does anybody figure out what they're calling fraud right now? What is the fraud here? If they're saying bank fraud, they'd have to prove that like they lied in creating these entities. It seems like if they've got that, I don't know. This doesn't seem like, I can't figure out what the crime is here.
They attempted to hide their criminal activity from our financial banking network. They set up shell companies.
They attempted to hide it by setting up bank accounts and doing it all legally, which is exactly how you hide things, by registering with the state, registering with the federal government, and having all of your transactions tracked through a bank. Yeah. Cash Patel plays hide and seek by standing under the brightest light and shouting. That was this hiding.
Entities around America, so that the financial institutions that we rely on as everyday Americans were deceived in believing that money was not coming from the Southern Poverty Law Center in the perpetration of this scheme and fraud, but rather fictitious entities they stood up to perpetuate this ongoing fraud. This is a serious...
You need to send his Cash and RFK sniff the same toilet. Smells a little filet of fishy.
Egregious violation of a group that purported to dismantle violent extremist groups, but in turn actually only fueled the hatred. This is an important case brought by President Trump's administration. We're thankful for the president.
Yes. Now, if you were waiting, if you're like, how are we 6 minutes in and nobody has deep-throated Trump yet? Here it is.
By President Trump's administration, we're thankful for the president for his leadership and funding of not just the FBI and DOJ, but his commitment.
He doesn't fund the FBI or DOJ. That's Congress, but good job thanking him for that.
To go out there and wipe out fraud and conspiracy and waste and abuse wherever it occurs, including the Southern Poverty Law Center. Even though this money was made to appear to be coming from legitimate people and legitimate entities, we at the FBI, with our great partners at the Department of Justice and in the state of Alabama, were able to comb through a decade worth of material a scheme that took a decade to build so that we were able to follow the money because money never lies. And they got
He sucks so bad. He sucks so bad. This is the flimsiest case I've ever seen. He is he's getting fired for sure, and this isn't helping. This is not going to help.
caught. As the Attorney General said, these charges are varying. They are widespread and wide-ranging, and this investigation is very much ongoing. Today, we're here to announce the charges of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and this investigation and the individuals who are responsible will be brought to justice. Thank you, gentlemen.
Who are those individuals, by the way?
Thank you, Director Patel. With any questions?
Yeah, so many questions.
I'd like to know why individual people are not mentioned in this indictment. Is that something that's going to come down the pike? Is this just an indictment of the entity? Can you kind of explain, could people face charges here, or is this the indictment and you're done?
So, yes, I mean, as we said, the indictment, this investigation.
Thompson Cash is the only person who has to drink to be able to see straight. Appreciate it. Puts his eyes back in alignment. Oh, there we go.
Is very much ongoing, and today the grand jury returned an indictment against only one entity, the Southern Poverty Law Center, and we'll go from there. But as you'll see from the indictment itself,
that's good. Yeah. My question is, what the fuck?
It should be obvious from the indictment that the investigation is ongoing.
And I just want to make sure I understand.
It should be obvious,
alleging
guys.
that the Southern Poverty Law Center was paying the leaders of KKK and other groups to continue their operations? Is that?
I'm not alleging it. The grand jury returned an indictment that says that, and so
you motherfucker, you are alleging it. Who gave them? Who asked them for an indictment? You did. You went to the grand jury and you alleged this, and the grand jury returned an indictment, which means that allegedly they did this. It's not a guilty verdict. This is alleged. I don't know how our attorney general, or general, I guess, doesn't know about this whole innocent until proven guilty thing, but yet they are alleging. That's what this is.
What the investigation found, according to the indictment that was returned today, is that they were paying. So the Southern Poverty Law Center is raising money, asking folks to give them money to dismantle racism over a very long period of time. They were using some of the money they raised from donors to pay to, they called them field, basically to informants, for information, for access, to just pay them for certain, to do certain things. And so, yes, that's exactly what the indictment charges.
The indictment charges that they paid informants. All right. Well, that's not going anywhere. What do we miss? Yeah, I don't know. I had 9 minutes later. It's like, oh, cool. It's literally going nowhere. I'm sure when the Southern Poverty Law Center got this indictment, they're like, cool, this will be over quickly. They'll send their C squad in there. All right. Here's where we ended the show yesterday. We're going to pick back up here. He's having himself a moment. Andrew, whatever you want to say about Andrew Wilson, for whatever reason, he's having a moment. I didn't find him particularly engaging or fun to talk to. I don't know what type of people think Andrew Wilson is a fun person to listen to, but obviously enough people is he runs the Crucible. It has a big audience of white nationalist, or I guess, Christian nationalist cucks. They're about the most vile people I've ever had to deal with. And now he's on he was on Rogan. I see him. He's on CNN all the time now. Poor guy can't chain smoke on all these podcasts. I don't know how he's doing. But he's on here with Trigonometry. I think or is it Triggernometry? I can't remember what their podcast is called. And I wanted to show this clip because Andrew Wilson, who I don't believe graduated high school, which is fine. I think lots of really intelligent people have no use for like a formal education. I don't think that destroys your intellect. I do think Andrew's a relatively smart guy. He's been able to create arguments out of thin air that don't make a great deal of sense, but he uses big words and he says things confidently, and a lot of people believe him. But this is like 2.5 minutes of Andrew Wilson saying absolutely nothing, and the hosts of Trigonometry not knowing what to do with it. And the other reason I want to show this is because he's been on like this campaign to expose how people on the left debate and why it's stupid and why he hates it. He's going to tell you he just hates everybody on the left here, and that's why he does this. But what really frustrates him the most is that he has this specific set of beliefs that comes from an organized religion, and he starts with those beliefs and he works backwards, and it frustrates him when people like me don't have those same beliefs. If you remember when we debated, he was asking me forever, like he's trying to get you to like ground your beliefs in something, which is a silly thing to ask an atheist to do. Like, where do you ground your beliefs, atheist? I don't. Because I don't believe in like the sky daddy that writes the rules, and he doesn't like that. But anyways, here's Andrew.
And why do you enjoy doing this? Because a lot of people think it's
I
a
hate
weird
leftists.
thing to do.
So I mean, just like if you want me to be blunt.
What did you say? Brianna said, "Do you think Andrew Wilson was born a bitch, or did his dad beat him into him?" I don't know. I don't want to talk about his personal life, but I do think he is a bitch, and I think I called him a bitch to his face. So we're good.
Why do you hate leftists?
Because they're psychopaths who are going to destroy everything that I care about through suicidal empathy.
Do you mean?
Why do you hate them? Fucking empathy, man. Noted. The thing that leads most people to self-harm or organizations to harm themselves is empathy. That's pretty honest. Why do you hate them? Empathy. Okay.
In progressives, or do you mean leftists?
Both.
Like the entire left?
I consider the delineation of the threshold minute.
Because?
Doesn't know how to answer any question. I consider the delineation of the threshold minute. Shut up. He's like word of the day calendar. Just say, I don't draw. I don't know.
Because when you really get into the granularity, it's all about ethics, and they don't have any. And so...
Yeah, we don't take our ethics and our ethical grounding from a book that's like 2,000 years old that's deeply flawed. Sorry. This is the most honest thing I've ever seen. And it is crazy to watch somebody sit here with this amount of confidence and be like, my beliefs were handed to me. And and I start there and work backwards. And I hate people who think critically.
Because there's no ethical foundation, all you're talking about is degrees of psychopathy.
What about people who just...
Or nuance. Degrees of psychopathy or nuance.
Want like a little bit more wealth redistribution, but generally they love America. I mean, those people, they are decreasing in percentage on the left, but they do exist, right?
Why do they want it?
Because they think they have a different vision to the right of human nature, and they think that a lot of things that happen to people in life are partly about luck and structures and stuff like that. So they think that, they think the right massively overestimates the consequences of agency.
But that's correct. Honestly, that is correct. The right does massively overestimate the consequences of agency. You hear it all the time. Like, well, all you got to do is work harder. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like that. Like it's ironic to watch the stuff that they talk about, how like government suppresses speech and how government takes away people's rights, unless it's about making money, in which case then the government has no role in that. The only way they're taking away money is by taxes, but they're definitely not taking away money by allowing corporations to keep 97% of the labor, while the people working get 3% of what they actually create in wealth for the company. No, that's not a problem. It's only a problem if the government tries to take rich people's money.
So the idea that sometimes, the caricature of the right would be, well, everyone gets what they deserve because it's a matter of your hard work and talent and application and whatever. And the left's, the sensible left, I think, says, well, sure, but luck is a big part of it. There, by the grace of God, go we. Therefore, if someone is struggling, not everyone is struggling because they didn't put in effort. Sometimes shit happens. People get sick.
Yeah, what happens if you build a business and it's doing well and you run your own business, you work for yourself, and then you get cancer? Whose fault was that? Now you have to sell your business to pay your bills. You don't have employees that can take over. Your business folds. You lose everything. You're bankrupt now because you got cancer. This is the difference between the right and the left. The right goes, well, that's just life. And the left goes, maybe we should have a system where if you do work hard and you do create a living for yourself, that we can pay taxes. And if you get cancer, you can get some help there. That's the difference. And this is what Andrew Wilson and psychopaths like him call suicidal empathy. Now, he's filthy rich. He makes a lot of money. And he, like us, is crowdfunded. Totally different crowd. And I've seen it when I debated him. Like, the super chats were insane. I mean, it was people sending in like $50 at a time to call me a drug addict, which was ironic for a guy that chain smokes the whole time. He makes a lot of money. A lot. What happens? Do you think he would complain if YouTube decided, man, we're not going to show you anymore? If Twitch decided, we're not going to show you anymore? If Rumble, wherever, I don't know where he gets most of his money from. What if he lost all his platforms? Would that just be luck? No.
Happen, whatever. So we should look after people a little bit more than the people who want the lowest taxes possible. That would be the steel man.
Ban Elite Gaming forever. We don't talk about my kid here.
An argument, I think.
Okay, so that makes sense. So the idea here is social safety nets, right?
Also, ironic that you're saying outsourcing being a father for a guy, Andrew Wilson, who kind of has been outsourced as a father.
Okay, so how come those aren't voluntary?
Well, probably because you can't achieve the level of redistribution you want without applying.
It's not voluntary because people are selfish. That's why, Andrew. People are selfish. They keep all the money. They'll take all the benefits that the government gives them. They'll take a currency that the government created for them. They'll take an economy that the government created for them. They'll take the infrastructure that the government created for them. These people, us, all of us right now that are speaking, are benefiting from the government laying out the infrastructure to have internet. And we all benefit from this. And yet then we complain about paying taxes. So, like, Andrew Wilson would be an absolute fucking nobody if it wasn't for the giant infrastructure that the government has created. Nobody would know who he was. But he wants it. Like, do you think we would have this infrastructure in the same way? No.
Some level of force.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because the entire idea of progressive liberalism is supposed to be voluntarism, and that's
not true. He also doesn't understand progressive liberalism, or whatever he's calling progressive liberalism, volunteerism. That would be like closer to communism or libertarianism, where everything is voluntary and there's no state. Which is a weird argument that he makes here too, because he doesn't believe in a stateless society. He believes in force. His big thing is the force principle. Basically, whoever has the most power wins and dictates, and that's the movement that they're trying to create. Is that they can create enough force that they can force their views on you.
The left-wing government does not force you or compel you to do anything.
No, but that's bullshit.
But that's the promise.
No, the point of government
that's not the promise.
Is to make people do shit they don't want to do.
Completely agree. But the promise of the leftists, the promise of the progressive, the reason they demand that we have a secular government and we can't move towards Christian ethics or Christian nationalism is because secularists are going to do what's fair. And what's fair is you can do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anybody else. We're not going to force you to do anything. The evil Christian nationalists will.
Correct.
But here you just laid out a case for how it is that they're compelling me against my will to do various things.
Like what? Conservatives, what are you being compelled against your will to do by the government? Not murder people? Pay your taxes? Government by definition compels, and he believes in people being compelled to do what he wants them to do. So he just hates the left because he feels like they're competition. He wants to force his beliefs, and he'll admit this. He admitted it in our debate. Did the government build Starlink? Didn't companies like AT&T and Verizon and various other telecoms build the internet? No. The government heavily paid for that infrastructure. I live in Mesa, Arizona. Google Fiber is coming through. Cox Communications here. The government handed out tons of subsidies to these internet companies to build out the infrastructure. You want to talk about Starlink? You want to who created the space program? Was that government funded? SpaceX wouldn't exist without NASA. They're funded right now. SpaceX is funded by the government. Does Starlink get federal funding? Let's see. This year, they're getting $660 million in federal funding. This year. So yes, Starlink gets government money. You're paying for Starlink. See how like this all falls apart with all of you? You give the credit to the private entity and you never recognize that like none of this exists without government structure. Capitalism doesn't exist. You realize capitalism doesn't exist without the government, right? You have to have a currency. You got to have laws. You got to be able to settle property disputes. You've got to be able to settle like patent disputes. Yeah, it's true. We're paying for Starlink, can't even use it without paying more. And then where do the profits go? They go to the billionaires. They don't pay any taxes. And then you're like, yeah, that's right. Stick it to them. Tanya, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, I have one other Andrew Wilson clip that popped up right before I went live. I don't know who this is. Obviously, she and I don't agree on a lot of things because she is religious. But once again, I want to point out that I could give a fuck if you're religious. If you use your religion as a way to justify helping other people, I'm a big fan. Her name, I think, is it says up here. Not so erudite. Watch what happens when Andrew goes against somebody who understands the Bible better than he does and isn't limited to one very narrow view of the Bible, which is mostly hate, which is what his religion is. He's an Orthodox Christian.
I guess God was really bad when he ordered the Hebrews to kill infants.
That was just allegorical, though.
Well, you believe in it literally, too. So how do you deal with that?
Because, well, the idea...
immediately fucked. That was allegorical. That was a story. But you believe the Bible is literal. Oh, so how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that, Andrew?
Because, well, the idea here is warfare. The idea here is warfare.
So in warfare, it's
the idea here is warfare from the Bible.
Okay to kill infants.
It can be justified, yes.
Okay.
Like if a country attacks your country and you attack them back and
you should kill their infants.
If you're bombing them, are infants going to die?
That's not the same thing as saying it's good.
It's justified is not the same as saying it's good.
But God ordered it, and what God orders is good, right?
Yes.
In fact,
whoops. God thinks it's good to kill infants. Whoops. Tough one, huh? That's why he always wants to define words. She was more ready to deal with his defining words than I was, for sure.
So there are times where God can say killing infants is okay.
Sure.
Okay, based. Thank you.
Did he say that with abortions?
Well, he definitely didn't make it clear with abortions in Exodus 21:22, which we still haven't gotten to.
What does your church history that you adhere to say about abortion?
There it is. There's Andrew. So Andrew gets absolutely fucking cooked, and he falls back on his same dumb trick. And his same dumb trick is, what is the thing that you start? What's the premise you start from to create all your views? That's why, like I said earlier, Andrew is intelligent. He is. What he's not is creative. What he didn't do is come by his beliefs on his own. He's very much like in the mold of Ben. He's like a chain-smoking Ben Shapiro with a different religion. They start with their views and then they work. They work backwards. So this is what he's stuck. He's like, he can't defend his views because he just said God says that it's good to kill infants. And now, rather than address that, he has to now try and figure out what her views are and nitpick them. And he's going to be derailed once again by that pesky thing called nuance that he doesn't believe should exist.
There isn't like a tradition that I adhere to necessarily. I'm not Eastern Orthodox or Catholic, right? And I don't have to be.
Do you just adhere to your own tradition?
I use exegesis, eisegesis, and divine revelation to try to figure out what's going on. So I look at beloved scholars, I look at biblical scholarship, I look at Hebrew scholarship, right? And I try to look at all these things and include them what the saints say to try to figure out what's true.
Why do you care what the saints say?
Because I respect a lot of what the saints say.
Which saints?
I love Thomas.
See? Just wants to pin you down to an ideology so then he can say that your ideology is imperfect, which is why this type of debate works with dumb people and doesn't work with anybody who is more of a free thinker, anybody who has a nuance in their life, which Andrew has none of.
I'm a Thomist.
You're a Thomist?
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Not always.
So it's like a mix of Thomism, Protestantism, other isms?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. On the basis of this Protestantism.
He doesn't know what to do. Somebody make this a meme. Fuck. I don't know what to do with nuance. I think, I don't know how the rest of this goes, but I assume like every time Andrew gets stuck, he just grants the victory and then talks about his feelings some more. Yeah. We should always point out when Andrew Wilson gets cooked. He's a bad person, and he's bad for this country, and he's bad for society. And I really hope that he has kind of like one of those Steven Crowder rises and then plummets back into mediocrity. And I think when you are when you're the type of bigot that he is, you can only hide that for so long. So right now and you'll notice when he goes like on Rogan, when he's on CNN, he hides his bigotry, but then he goes on these podcasts and it comes out. So the more recognition he gets, the more people are going to realize that he's kind of just a piece of shit. Joe Rogan needs his microphone taken away, or just don't listen to him. All right, here's another thing that we've talked about, which is pretty wild. You guys don't get to say that you're not pedophile apologists anymore. You don't. You run cover for pedophiles all the time. This is Russell Brand, who, by definition, is an abuser. There's going to be a lot of stuff that he doesn't talk about in here, which we'll discuss. But I've said multiple times that he had sex with somebody that was under the age of 18. And then when he got caught doing that, he suddenly became a Christian and started wearing big fucking crosses. And you guys all just ate it up, and you don't care that he was abusing children. And here, Megyn Kelly tries to run cover for him, and watch what happens. Oh yeah, trigger warning also. Trigger warning here. There's going to be some abuse stuff, and the nonchalant attitude that both she and Russell Brand take towards abuse is pretty gross. Now, I will say this: for an abuser, at least he admitted it. That's as much as I'm willing to give Russell Brand, that he admits that he was an abuser. But when you have somebody that's abusive, the fact that they found Jesus and now wear a cross doesn't absolve them of their abuse. And that's the real problem that I have with abusers suddenly finding Jesus. What they find is, ironically, sympathy from Christians who say, oh, Jesus can save everybody. So since he's got this cross on, we'll no longer view him as an abuser. He's not an abuser now because Jesus fixed him. And that's how you wind up with abusers in churches who repeatedly abuse people and then say, oh, I asked for forgiveness from Jesus. I've changed. He's entered my heart and my soul, and I'm a new person. And then they go and they abuse again. Never should anybody trust Russell Brand alone in a room.
Angry when I saw that, because they did it in such a compelling way that, especially the stuff about the 16-year-old, that I was angry with you. I believed what they said, or at least believed that there was enough smoke, there might be fire.
For the record, what she's saying that there's enough smoke that may be fire is that there is a 16-year-old who accused Russell Brand of sexually abusing her, including like pinning her up against a wall, repeatedly saying no. And then there are text messages from Russell Brand admitting this abuse and apologizing for that abuse. So what she's about to lay out here, and this sucks. It sucks with Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly, honest to God, makes me really sad, because Megyn Kelly found some courage when she was at Fox News, and she, along with Gretchen Carlson and some other female hosts at Fox News, came out and they accused specifically the executive leadership of not only sexually harassing and abusing women there at Fox News, but also of everybody else just looking the other way. And it cost her job at Fox News. And then she went and she hosted a debate with Trump, where Trump said that she was too emotional and she must have been on her period and blood was coming out of her eyes, and nobody from the GOP backed her up, and she was ostracized from the GOP. She went to NBC and tried to be a fence sitter. NBC didn't get any ratings with her, so they let her go. She went back to the podcast circuit and then just immediately became an apologist for abusers. And it really, really makes me sad. It always makes me sad to see somebody who is abused, who's a victim of abuse, views that power structure as their only means of maintaining the lifestyle they have or the position that they have, and then they become apologetic to the system. They realize, like, oh, I lost the fight, I'm just going to give up the fight. And so Megyn Kelly makes me sad as somebody who, admittedly, like I listened to her book. I was driving from Arizona to Utah, and I think this was probably in like 2016 or 2017 when her book came out. And I honestly, it was a really great, it was a really powerful story. I had a lot of respect for Megyn Kelly. It was at the same time when I was leaving the Republican Party, and so I was like, I'm like, she was brave. It was brave that she did this. And it was somebody like, honestly, I had a lot of respect for her. And it's been really sad now to watch her become somebody who is apologetic for serial abusers.
And said to the audience at the time, you know, the conservative movement doesn't need somebody like that. Like, we love what he's saying about COVID, but if this is a guy who's sexually assaulting women and taking advantage of 16-year-olds, we need to move on without him. And felt
we like his COVID conspiracy theories, but maybe we need to leave him behind because he abuses women. Now that's a good take. Okay, even if you're a COVID conspiracy theorist, let's pretend that that's not insane for a second. That's a good take that she used to have. She's apologizing for this take. She's apologizing for saying that she didn't want to overlook sexual abuse.
that anger for a couple of years around you because I just thought it was so reckless and it was so wrong. And I knew that it might be false, but it seemed overwhelming, the way that they presented the evidence. And then the more I...
Again, there were text messages of him admitting the abuse that were read in court. And I don't know if she prepared for this interview. I don't think she knew what was about to happen because now she's saying, you know, I apologize. I shouldn't have believed it. I should have waited for the facts to come out.
Looked at it, the more I started to recognize I might not know the full story, because since then I have seen what the British government has done, what my own government has done to certain figures that it doesn't like.
Andrew Tate, rapist. Donald Trump, rapist. Russell Brand, rapist. Prince Andrew, rape. Who's she talking about? Who did the UK government or the American government go after that didn't abuse people?
And
she said blackface was okay and NBC fired her. Is that what it was from? I didn't remember why she got fired.
And I have...
Sorry, I might have said it was ratings. I didn't remember that was the case.
An enormous amount of open-mindedness to you are being railroaded and attacked by people for reasons having nothing to do with actual facts, but with your right-leaning stance on certain issues, your growing prominence as a figure in a bunch of discussions that they find very threatening. And honestly, I just reevaluated the whole thing and thought, I need to be open-minded to having been wrong in my initial assessments, and I'm interested in a conversation about it all.
All right. All that for this to happen.
Thank you, Megyn Kelly, for giving me the grace to address in particular your anger, which is entirely legitimate and recognizable. And the plain fact of it is that in Europe and in the United Kingdom, where I'm from, the age of consent is 16. And I did sleep with a 16-year-old.
So it was all true? All that? I mean, it's 2 minutes of, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I believed this about you and it was true. You just admit it. He has to admit this, by the way, because the evidence was all true. All the stuff that she claimed she couldn't support him for, that all turned out to be true, which is why he has to admit this now. And he can try and get out of this by saying that that the age of consent was there, but he admitted to not getting consent as well. It's still gross. He was in his 30s at the time. She was 16. It's still gross. I don't know why the age of consent there is 16 or why there's not other rules surrounding that. But the accusation is that it was non-consensual.
When I was 30. But when I was 30, I was a very different person. I was a lot younger and I was an immature 30-year-old.
Also a rapist.
Consensual sex.
Can we not call a rape immaturity? You're a rapist when you were in your 30s. I don't know when the last time you did that was, but can we not call that immaturity, please?
Actually, with a variety of people, when there is a strong power differential, as there is when you're a famous man that has the ability to attract
Semantics says Brand is on trial for multiple sexual assaults of different women. True.
That I had at that time, I think involves exploitation. I think it is exploitative. I recognize that my sexual conduct in the past was selfish and I did not apply enough consideration, barely any, I suppose, really, to how that sex was affecting other people.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't consensual. You're understanding the power dynamics. You're understanding how that affects other people. Yeah. Phoenix Rice says he was a 9th grader when she was born.
The only matter that I would contest, while acknowledging, firstly, your right to be angry as a woman who, given what I know about you and the industry you've worked in, I'm sure that you have personal reasons for feeling aggrieved towards powerful men, because in spite of a case...
She hasn't moved, by the way. I would love to be inside of her head right now as she just went on that whole rant of like, I should have believed that you weren't this bad guy. And he's like, actually, I was exactly that bad guy.
Occasionally, men coming to the forefront of the culture, whether it's the most hideous gargoyle villains as rendered and portrayed, or the more sort of innocuous and party boy style exploiters of women, a category that I suppose I must fall into.
Yeah, you can call it party boy. I would call it rapist.
So it's plainly something that exists within our industry, and one might say culture at large. While I was transgressing...
So now he's admitting that rape culture is a thing. I would kind of appreciate his honesty here. Honestly, it's like, he's right about all of this.
Lines of being a person that was sleeping with people because I had availability to not only, by the way, waitresses and strippers and fans and people, but like, you know, powerful women as well, or like powerful professional women that had gravitas and status and power. I was only really thinking of myself. And obviously I have to be careful of contempt of court, because that's a law in my country where I can't say anything publicly that might in any way...
Agreed. I'm not trying to discount. I'm saying what he's saying is true. His excuse for why he did it is inexcusable. Saying like, I was part of the culture is no excuse. What I would love for her to ask is like, what are you doing to change the culture? This cross isn't going to do it, bud.
Influence a potential jury. But obviously, as soon as I've said I'm not guilty, what I'm in effect saying is I had consensual sex with lots of women, and you can argue that that's not appropriate. But the age of consent is an important thing. The ability to consent is an important thing, like i.e. drunk people can't consent, mentally ill people can't consent, children can't consent. Like, consent is what's important.
Did we just hear a conservative say drunk people cannot consent? Again, like what it's a weird interview to watch, because what he's saying is correct. His excuse for it is not.
And what fame gave me...
I don't know what he means by mentally ill. That, Maddie, I do think that that's overly broad. That's a good point.
Addiction fueled was opportunity for endless consent, which led me to be a hedonist and a fool and an exploiter of women. And that is wrong. And that is something that needs to be redeemed and addressed and atoned for.
He's far from a conservative. He just wrote a book called like, he calls himself a conservative. He just wrote a book like how you can like find Jesus in 7 days. What's it called? Something like become a Christian in 7 days. How to become a Christian in 7 days. It's like, it's being published by, what's Tucker Carlson? I guess he has a publishing company now. He's not a conservative for the Labor Party. I mean, he's a conservative over here. What makes him not a conservative? I would say, by the way, I would say that like the Labor Party is pretty conservative. I don't know that I certainly wouldn't call them progressive. I think they describe themselves as like center left, but I would say that they're relatively conservative. Reminds me of the part in Clockwork Orange where MC says stuff they don't believe. Yeah, I don't know. He said a lot of things there, but it was just bizarre to me to watch Megyn Kelly. Where's the pushback there? Like, oh, so you are a rapist. Okay, got it. Conservative of convenience and profit. All conservatives are conservatives of convenience and profit. Conservatism is a bullshit ideology. It's lazy thinking. It allows you to like just go through life without having to accept accountability for anything. Conservatism, but just by nature, is lazy. You don't have to learn new stuff. You can hold on to that ideology your entire life. It never changes. And you can just discount anything that's not conservative as being like communism or woke. You've had the same beliefs forever. That's one of the most well-scripted speeches. Yeah, he did. He worked hard on that one. And it was for the courts. But I do just want to point out once again that he might say that all the sex he had was consensual. The accusations say otherwise. And some of the evidence, he himself, like with the 16-year-old, I don't know how there's no chance he wins that. I wouldn't imagine. He admits it in the texts. He apologizes. He's like, yeah, I think he even says like maybe he was drunk at the time. I can't remember. You pull him back up, but he admits it. Why are you talking about Muslims, James? Get it together. They're not coming after you. All right, let's move on to another conservative dipshit. I just want to point out that all of these people claim to have all these morals and these ideals, and that they have some sort of coherent ideology and arguments, and they don't. Conservatism is just lazy, and they want you to cheerlead, and they want you to celebrate everything conservatives do is great. I need to add something while this is playing. I'm going to play the next one. I'm going to play this first. But Scott Jennings, he posted this, and he said, let me pull it. Who was it that somebody else did? It was like, CNN panel explodes when Scott Jennings argues Americans should be proud to live in the greatest country on earth. All right, let's see if they explode.
Look, I like it when our leaders...
My brother, you've been here enough time. GBI, and maybe you haven't been here, so this will clear it up. I'm not a Democrat. Democrats aren't moral and right either. Fuck the Democrats. I'm talking about conservatives. Conservative ideology is lazy and dumb. I'm a progressive. Most Democrats are not progressive. Like the overwhelming majority of Democrats, I would consider, you can call them liberal if you want, but I would consider them conservative. So you and I have the same opinion there. Democrats are not moral and right. They're also shitty. I view the Democrats as slightly better than conservatives because they're not quite as bigoted. They will support policies that bring about more equity and equality, but at the end of the day, they're still going to choose themselves, their power, and they're still going to defer to special interests and the billionaire class. So don't confuse me criticizing conservatives for being a fan of the Democrats. I don't care. They didn't lie about Trump and Russia. That's stupid. They were right about that. They secured 30, and that wasn't Democrats. I don't know if you know this. Bob Mueller is a Republican. The Russia investigation was not done by the Democrats. It was Bob Mueller, a Republican, who did that. So anyways, here's Scott Jennings.
Talk about a hopeful future. I think that's good for the country. I guess I sort of reject the premise of the conversation a little in that, these are somehow dark times and we're living through this uncertain rough patch. I'm pretty happy,
Well,
and I think a lot of people
put this up, and I don't want to make this about the current president, but the NBC poll said, do you expect life for your generation to be better, worse, or about the same? And this, right, if there's any difference here, and I think in many ways the number that you see on this screen, it helps explain why some of the messaging that Donald Trump and other populists like Bernie Sanders, why what they have brought to the table has been resonating, right? I mean, I take your point. You don't want to take the premise that people are pessimistic, not optimistic. But the bottom line is that's not a number about politics, right? That's about people feeling like the promise of America isn't what it used to be, right? And even if we look at like what the United States,
Which is, if that's not your opinion, I don't know what you're watching. If anybody thinks that you have the same type of upward mobility today that you would have had in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, like upward mobility is really stifled right now, just statistically. Yes, people can make a lot of money. People can elevate themselves out of whatever economic class they're born into, but it's more difficult now statistically than it has been. Phoenix said, notice his wording, this thing happened, these issues. He doesn't put himself in the apology, which distances himself and lessened the crime. Agreed. And that's another like conservative thing that they do. You do a clinic on the harm of conservatives so bad. Thank you.
States is the greatest country in the world. 36% of people said that was true. 41% said it's one of. But only 23% of people said we're not one of the greatest countries.
And if you looked at the splits on that by politics, what would you find?
I don't have that slide to
If you
hand,
looked
Scott,
at this, but if you looked at the splits on how people feel about
It's actually in this thread. We can go down here. We'll come back to it. He's right about this. If you look at the split, Republicans just never change. This is conservatism in a nutshell. Whenever it dips, are you proud of being an American? It's just like when a Democrat is in office. And what you see from the early 2000s is Democrats, even when they're not in office, like you have these dips, but just it's been going down because this hasn't been a good 30 years. Hasn't been a good 50 years. We've regressed as a country. We have become invaders more so than we were before. We fuck everybody else's economies up. We don't provide simple basic needs for our own citizenry. We don't offer health care. We have the highest healthcare costs in the world. We now have a greater share of wealth being held by a handful of people than ever before. This is the difference in ideologies, though. Conservatives will just always be like, oh, it's just amazing. Everything's great. Everything's wonderful. We're the greatest in the world. And they think that because they don't change their views. The view is America's the greatest. That's the view. It'll never change. So no matter what we do, they're just going to hang around up there.
about America, the promise of America. If you look at whether they're proud of their country or not, Gallup has measured this. Republicans and conservatives are proud to be Americans, and it's Democrats and liberals who are not. And I think if you look,
I would call that sheep. I would call that herd mentality. I would call that lazy thinking. And while he's doing this, while he's speaking, conservatives, please feel free to tell me, as a country, how we've gotten better, like what we've gotten better at in the last 30 years.
get the splits in that,
This
you'd
is
find
the opposite of where I wanted
you'd find the lines on the graph going this way. And honestly, I mean, I think there's a political movement in this country right now built on telling people that America's rotten at its core, and it's not the Republican ideology.
But see, I think this point about
Also, nobody says that we're rotten at it at our core. Nobody says that. See how they have to change the argument? I legitimately don't think conservatives know what the argument is, because their ideology is that simple. We're the greatest, so the opposite ideology must be we're the worst, and it's a core issue. I don't think that most progressives would say that. I think it's far more nuanced than that. I think most people that would think like me, our criticism is going to be that our government seems to help themselves and the people who give them the most money, and that we care very little about other countries, and we're willing to murder, to destroy entire civilizations as long as we can make a few bucks on it.
partisan divide, and the way you're breaking down partisan divide is exactly the problem. This is exactly why people.
The problem, to tell you the truth about the numbers?
No, Scott, give me a break. Like, come on.
Okay, I'm not going to give you a break about the math.
The fact that
That's not math. That's the opinion of conservatives who just think that the country's great.
we are in an era where our politics is so personally vicious. Even if you are not willing to concede the idea that Americans don't feel optimistic about the future, you must be willing to concede that our politics right now is personal, vicious, divided, ugly, in a way that turns regular people off, doesn't engage. So when
I
you
agree.
hear
We have Democrats cheering for a
And this is why Democrats suck too. Like, swing and a miss, lady. Sorry, I don't know her name. Swing and a fucking miss there. It's not about the rhetoric. It's not about the fact that people call each other names. It's the fact that, like, we're kind of fucked. That if you're coming out of college right now, regardless of your degree, like, it's harder to find a job than it used to be. Certainly harder to find a good paying job. The average age of buying a house is like headed towards 40 now, when it used to be in the 20s. Everybody, this is why CNN sucks too. Like, everybody's missing it. You think people aren't proud of America because politicians call each other names? No, it's because that's all they do, and they don't do anything to benefit the people.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's crazy.
Well, so here, this is the perfect example. Everyone is like, it's like, what's the point?
Her name's Casey Hunt. I don't know who she is. Sorry.
It's a nonpartisan thing, and it didn't used to be like that.
But what is true, to your point, Scott, that when you do look at the partisanship of these things, of when you ask people sort of their outlook of the country or economically, what we've seen, and this gets to our polarization, is that depending on which party is in the White House, really informs, because we live in such partisan times, how people view it. So when
I mean, no, though, right? Like, no. Swing and a miss again. David Shalean, Washington bureau chief. Swing and a miss again. That doesn't reflect the data here. The data says that Democrats are moving in this direction and Republicans largely are just staying the same. None of them know. That's why nobody watches CNN. Cool.
Democrats in the White House, Democrats feel better about the direction of the country and about the economy and things like that than when a Republican, and it's vice versa when the party changes. And so when you look under the hood, to your point, look at the partisan split on those things, that's not a constant. Our partisan politics define how partisans view that.
And I just think of every single...
He's just dead wrong there. Go look at the data. You're just wrong there. Dr. Perlman said, while I agree that we have been declining and got a lot of shit to fix internally, you can't lose your pride in your own country. Otherwise, nothing will change because apathy sets in. I don't agree with that. Maybe some people do. I've definitely lost pride in this country, but it hasn't given me apathy. I think apathy is the people who are like, our country is great no matter what. Oh, what? We just murdered a bunch of people in Iran? That's all right. We're still the greatest. Oh, 12 people own like half the wealth in this country? That's okay. We're still the greatest. Oh, we have the most expensive healthcare with terrible outcomes? Oh, that's okay. America's still the greatest. Apathy is conservatism by definition. I don't think that people who are correctly pointing out that we have slipped as a world power, and not like as far as military strength, but as far as like looking at how you would want to build a country, you wouldn't want to build to become who we are now unless military might is your only thing. Conservatism is, by definition, apathy. Progressivism is the opposite of that. So I think by critically discussing the problems in this country, I could give a fuck if you have pride in this country, honestly. It doesn't matter. I've worked at companies where I didn't have pride in the company, but I still worked hard. You can like, I don't think pride's very important. I don't think cheerleading and rah shit is very important, but I do think it's very important to conservatives. And in a lot of ways, they put that rah shit and that pride ahead of actually fixing problems. Why? Because rah-rah's easy. It's easy to put on the like back-to-back World War champs. Undefeated since 1776, whatever you want to put on. It's easy to be like, America's the best. That's easy. You don't have to think about it. You just leave it there. That's apathy. I think apathy is the problem. I just think my opinion is you're incorrectly identifying who is apathetic.
Conversation, even about civics in this country, boils down to, are you going to win or am I going to win? That's a problem.
I'm going to add to that. No, just a slightly different point. We are having a conversation about the future of America and lofty goals. What will trend on the internet after this is you two fighting with each other, right?
I'm not fighting.
No, you guys love each other, and we know that. But but this is important, though.
We do love each other.
Well, you do, and I love you both.
I don't care for you as much. But,
all right, this is getting weird, man.
Well, my point is we are in an information moment in which people are getting calcified in their views because of these algorithms that are feeding people images of you two fighting or you two disagreeing with each other. That is what is sort of I think the darkest thing in our moment. That is
no, the darkest thing in our moment is that all of our wealth is being handed to a handful of people and there's no economic opportunity and we're murdering people in the Middle East and nobody can afford health care. Our education system is going to shit. We have an entire economy that is placed like our country's future on AI, which is promising to take away our jobs. None of this is the real problem. The self-importance of these people on CNN is fucking shocking. We can't get one of them to identify a real problem. Like, I promise nobody, I didn't know any of these people. I only know Scott Jennings because I've covered him a lot. None of this is the problem with America. The problem is that none of these people can identify what the problem is.
Causing a lot of the division and the partisanship, and that's the kind of thing that the presidents were talking about. Can we get to a place again where Americans...
Oh, we're not murdering people in Iran? Oh, okay. They're all still alive? My bad.
...can politely disagree and not have it.
What you're raising, though, is the issue of we're not living in a shared reality.
We're not.
This is the biggest difference today for the rest of the country's history, and it's hard to have a shared national purpose when you don't have a shared reality. And so I think one of the things we're going to have to grapple with as Americans is, how do we have more of a shared reality when it comes to our politics?
But those four men...
It's ironic for a guy who can't say that Joe Biden won the 2020 election.
Those four men, irrespective of party, have a shared reality.
Yeah. We got to get rid of these programs. I don't watch CNN. It was terrible. Is this the... Oh, I did get that. That was the chart there. I think perhaps what the GOP has a problem with is that they are entirely, like Scott Jennings said, like disconnected from reality. Like this, the fear mongering on the right of what the actual problems are. And I'm pointing to the right now because you have all the power. You can criticize Democrats. That's fine. There's no power there. But we have shifted so hard and so outside of reality that this is like a legitimate way to campaign now. This is Iowa GOP gubernatorial candidate Adam Steen. And here's what he thinks the people need to hear in Iowa. This is what's very important in running for governor of Iowa.
Second, if I have to, I will sign an executive order ensuring Iowa law, not foreign law. Iowa must be governed by Iowa law and the United States Constitution, not outside legal systems or foreign ideologies that conflict with our rights and our values. Our laws should reflect the people of this state and the principles that built this country. Iowa belongs to Iowans. Just like our founding fathers, our legal system should remain rooted here. Simply put, I am denouncing Sharia law, and my commitment to Iowans is to ensure...
Big problem in Iowa is the Sharia law. The farmers are all losing their farms right now. They can't afford fertilizer. The entire the economy in Iowa is falling apart. The gas prices are putting people out of business. I'm going to make sure Sharia law doesn't take over. There's no threat of Sharia law taking over. Yeah, in Iowa. Where's our Iowa folks? You guys having a problem with Sharia law over there?
Sharia law is outright banned from our state and in no way will gain even a small foothold in any governing body across the state of Iowa.
Now, I want to show a good Republican because, like Scott Jennings said, like we've got to have a shared reality. This is Representative Max Miller. He's a Republican out of Ohio, and he's questioning Trump. What is Jameson Greer is trade representative, and here's a shared reality. Finally, a handful of Republicans are like, "I'm going to live in reality for a second." Blue Chew says Scott Jennings looked like he could use us. I'm tired of you making us look like whiny little bitches. I'm tired of it. I would like if people looked at America and said, hey, these people are skeptical of their government. We try and be like, hey, we're not just lining up to suck the dick. I've been stretching my mouth. I've been preparing for this. Oh, is it Kash Patel? Put it in there. Pete Hegseth? Put it in there. Donald Trump? Put it in there. Blue Chew, give me all the dicks. Good point. Iowan here, our water's also killing us. Great. Roly Poly Bolo says you should not have pride in the current state of your country, and you should have an antipathy for those responsible for the current state of your country. I like that. All right, back here though to Representative Miller, giving Jameson Greer a dose of reality because the Trump administration and Jameson Greer are out there still telling you that tariffs worked. Still telling you that the tariff policy was a massive success. Still lying to you that the other countries are paying the tariffs and that we have all this tariff revenue. And Congressman Miller is just like, all right, that's enough.
Ambassador, I agree with you and President Trump that our country has been treated unfairly for decades and more than half a century when it comes to trade with our country. And it's just my estimation or opinion, obviously, that it should be done over a period of time and not just be done overnight. And my concern is right now that we have companies, and I have several more, there's just no need to continue to drag on the point, but we do have the vast majority of companies in my district, through Cuyahoga, Medina, Wayne, and Holmes, that this tariff policy, it isn't working for them. And it is not a net positive, it is a net negative. And these are people, regardless of political affiliation, I understand that maybe overall, as you're saying, it's been a net positive for the country. My job isn't to represent the entire country. For that matter, it's not to represent the entire state of Ohio. It's to represent a district, just comprised of about 800,000 people that it's my job to look out for. And right now, these policies are doing more harm than good. So I would really like USTR, as well as the Department of Commerce, to commit to opening up a waiver or an exclusionary office just to bring some stability and maybe a little less stress and anxiety to our small and medium-sized business owners, which when they get hit with a tariff at port, they're not able to pass off that price to the consumer. I understand that we have been taken advantage of, and I agree that it is time for the United States to get back to real fair trade policies with other countries. But my biggest concern is that we have a lot of people who don't have
I'm being taken advantage of, so I'm going to punch myself in the face to fix it. That was Trump's tariff policy. These countries are taking advantage of us. I'm going to charge American citizens tariffs. I'm going to tax Americans more because these countries are taking advantage of us. That'll show them.
answers with a lot of questions. So, you know, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. I mean, can you commit to opening up a waiver and exclusionary office from this administration or working with this body in order to codify these tariffs that are right now extremely temporary for the entire economy unless we codify them into law?
Let's not criticize this dude. Needs to be coaching Little League, not representing state. He's one of like 3 Republicans who makes any fucking sense. We gotta gentle parent this guy. We gotta give him his flowers real quick. We got to make sure that we're incentivizing good behavior.
On the last part, I'm always happy to work with Congress about codifying tariffs. On the first part, I can't commit to open up an exclusion office. The president
Supposed to create jobs, you fool. We had 13 straight months of basically no job creation. We lost jobs. That didn't work either. None of it worked. Again, the difference between progressives and conservatives is conservatives believe the rhetoric and they never fact check anything and look at it. You're just saying shit that didn't happen. It was a massive, colossal fuck up. And now we have to repay the tariffs. And so American citizens who paid the tariffs are not going to get that money back. But the companies who charged American citizens the tariffs that they were charged are going to get that money back. Cool.
The president personally has been very direct that he doesn't want to do this. This usually, in his experience, including from his last term and going into the Biden term, people use this as an excuse not to reshore. That being said, going forward, if there are certain investigations going on relative to tariffs, and there are Federal Register notices that go out and opportunities to comment, and to the extent tariffs are proposed, companies and the public and others can comment on whether they think that's a good idea or not. So there are opportunities for public engagement.
Thank you.
I'm a bit of an isolationist. So what? Well, it doesn't work. That's what. You can be whatever you want to be. You can hold whatever ideas you want, but you don't get to pretend that it works.
Ambassador, thank you, Mr. Chairman. How you? Ambassador.
All right, moving on here. I don't know what to do. I just feel like we have to cover it. This was a great segment on CNN with Donny O'Sullivan. I honestly don't know what to do with this. So I've been careful covering this, and thank God we're not on TikTok because this will get us banned. But there's a growing movement in this country who's just not buying that the assassination attempts on Donald Trump. And let me just say, for the record, like my hesitancy to believe that that was a real assassination. Now, I'm not saying for sure, but one, and the most obvious one, his ear would not heal that way. If he got hit by a bullet, his ear would have been ripped apart. It wouldn't heal that way. So what happened? Was he hit by shrapnel? Maybe. Could he have done like a WWE thing where when he went down, he scratched his own ear? For sure. I also want to be clear on some of the stuff that I was dead wrong about, like lowering the crane with the flag and people being moved in position. The original video I saw from that, I could explain it away by the angles of a moving camera. I've now seen multiple angles, and it is very clear that somebody in a suit moved photographers into position and the flag was lowered so that they could get that shot. Coincidence? Maybe, I guess. But a growing number now of Republicans aren't buying the shit either. And like, Trump isn't doing anything to throw off the scent. What do we know about Thomas Crooks? Nothing. What will they tell us? Nothing. It's dead. It's just a dead investigation. We know almost nothing about it. For a guy who who never lets go of anything, he sure doesn't talk about that very much.
Frightens me and scares me and makes me angry. Suddenly now I'm in on a conspiracy theory.
If you want to really see...
Show me a ballistic expert that said that Trump's ear would have had just that small scratch if it was nicked by a bullet. Tell me. I'm not a ballistics expert, but like I grew up with guns. I've shot guns. What was the round fired? What was he shooting? Does anybody know what kind of round it was? I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't think his was a 30-06. I thought the 30-06 was for Charlie Kirk. Which we could talk about that one too. I mean, I didn't ever go like deer hunting with my dad and my brother, but I've seen what a 30-06 does to a deer. It was a 5.56. Is that what it is? Yeah. 5.56. Okay.
Something that said, take a look at what happened.
Some liberals have long dabbled in conspiracy theories about the Trump assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania.
The first thing that ran through my head is because we cannot believe this man ever, that it was somehow fake.
Like these women I met at an anti-Trump protest outside the RNC a couple of days after Butler.
So
Brianna said how much to buy the Bluetooth soundbite collection to use as a ringtone. You don't have to buy it. It's free on the Discord. You can download it, right? I literally download it and put it on my Stream Deck straight from the Discord. So you can just go into RTP out of context and you can find all those.
Actually thought it was staged.
Yep. Yes, as we all did.
Do you still believe that?
Yes.
We don't know.
I'm not sure.
It's not impossible.
But I couldn't help but wonder, because we've been lied to over and over by this man. The way he came up and raised his fist and acted like it was nothing.
So I just like, even the way the Secret Service moved, it was so bizarre. All of this movement is very, very strange. Everybody just kind of sitting there. I remember I got a text. I think we were still working with Felice at that point. And I think Felice is the one, either Felice or Jen text me, like Trump just got shot. And I was like, oh shit. I was outside in the pool with my daughter and I ran in and I watched it. And the first time I watched it, I was like, this is weird. It's just the way that they moved. And, we haven't had an assassination attempt on a president for a long time. So admittedly, I don't know what it should look like. But it was clunky and weird and slow. It just, I've seen the JFK assassination, the attempt on Ronald Reagan. Like they just seem to move so much more, with so much more speed and efficiency. This looked like either everybody was in on it or they were all surprised by it.
Since the early days of the investigation, the FBI has repeatedly pushed back on conspiracy theories about Trump's would-be assassin, Thomas Crooks. Both Justice Departments under President Joe Biden and Donald Trump have found the...
Yeah, you don't just stand there pumping your fist, but also Donald Trump's a fucking lunatic, and he thinks about that. Like Donald Trump thinks about that moment. He's always thinking about the cameras. So could you also make an argument that the reason they were confused is because Trump refused to move and he wanted to celebrate? Sure. I think you could explain that away that way as well. Again, I'm not drawing a conclusion. There's just a lot of questions to ask here.
Same thing.
Just to be clear, did Thomas Crooks act alone?
Yes, based on the evidence that we have, that is the conclusive finding of the matter.
But over the last few weeks, as many are speaking out...
Weird how I phrase that. Roly-poly Bolo said, the first time the president of the United States was shot in an assassination attempt since Reagan in 81, and the only thing that died was the news of it. Ooh. Well, and Corey Comparatori.
Out against the Iran war.
Just admit you staged it in Butler. It was the heat of the campaign. People crazy things in campaigns.
Prominent people who supported Trump's re-election campaign, like comedian Tim Dillon, have started to express doubts about what happened in Butler that day. Trump survived, but Corey Comparator, who was standing in the crowd behind him, died.
Now, of course, a real person died, and that's terrible. R.I.P. And they should say that in high stakes things like this, stuff like that happens.
Joe, thanks a lot for joining us.
Butler conspiracy theories really started to pick up in the MAGA world after Joe Kent appeared.
Now, as much as I want to discredit Joe Kent, and because of his political leanings, and I'm not a fan of Joe Kent, what benefit does it? I try to figure out what's the benefit here for lying? What would he get from this?
On the Tucker Carlson show last month. Kent was a high-ranking intelligence official who resigned in protest over the Iran war.
I mean, we still don't know what happened in Butler. We don't know what happened with Charlie Kirk. And by no means am I saying the Israelis did this or any of that, but I'm saying there's a lot of unanswered questions there.
Tricia Hope, who is a Trump delegate at the RNC in 2024, has been vocal online about her doubts, posting...
I didn't see that, Jed. Pierre said, Americans don't pay tariffs, you lying Klan, Nazi, Democratic cult leader. Yeah, they do. Google it, dummy. Google who paid the tariffs, who paid the IEEPA tariffs, and you're going to find out it was Americans. Brother, we can't tax other countries. You got that's fifth grade shit. You should have known that by fifth grade, that we cannot impose a tax on another country. It's pathetic that you said that.
Since the attempt on his life, Trump has shown no interest in investigating what really happened. He never mentions it. It's as if it never happened, except when he tells us he took a bullet for us. Marjorie Taylor Greene has shared Tricia's post, and she added over the weekend, I'm not calling the Butler assassination.
We can sanction them. Of course, we can tax them. No, we can't. Sanctioning them just is saying we're not going to buy anything from you. How would we collect those taxes, P for personality? How would we impose, let's say we decide to tax Mexico. How would we impose that? How would we get those taxes? No, you can't. That's crazy. And this, again, you guys would rather look dumb than just Google something. Just Google right now, can the United States tax other countries? Just Google it.
A hoax, but there are a lot of questions that deserve public answers.
The far more significant story involves the government, the DOJ, and the FBI, which have hidden from the public what they know about Thomas Crooks.
Donnie's here with me now, along with Gretchen Carlson. I mean, Gretchen, it is amazing when...
Jesus Christ, do we really have to do this? Who pays tariffs imposed by the United States? U.S. firms and consumers have borne nearly all the economic burden of the 2025 tariffs, not foreign countries. Studies indicate that American companies have passed over 90% of these costs on to consumers through higher prices. Importers paid approximately $166 billion on shipments, the costs overwhelmingly absorbed by U.S. households and businesses. We're done with that now.
When you watch this report and what you've been seeing of the criticism, as Tony says, originally from the left and now more and more from MAGA, you've always said the things Trump does not want to talk about can be the most telling. What do you make of him not talking about this?
He should. He should, because that would quell the conspiracy theorists out there with more information. The way that conspiracy theories grow and evolve and don't get tamped down is that there's a lack of information being provided. It's very similar to the Epstein
love the show. Thank you, Em.
files. He didn't want to talk about it, and so he called it a hoax. That angered people more. That kept the story going and going. We all know that the way to end PR on all of this is to give information so that people will stop talking about it. And that's a problem for them right now, because now you have Marjorie Taylor Greene and a growing course of influencers of whom Trump
Sorry, this audio is a little off.
cannot control like he does members of Congress.
Right. And so many questions here, Donnie. We still know so little about the shooter there and the motive and all of those things that people do want to know. I mean, it was, an assassination attempt against someone running for president. I mean,
Ashley said, what got me was his home was surgically clean, no fingerprints, no evidence of any kind. Yeah, remember they told us he had no online history, and then we find out that's not true. He absolutely had an online history, and I can't remember the name of the guy. They might cover it here, but there was somebody that was constantly prodding him. He became connected with somebody online, and he was kind of a radical. And then this one person just kept pushing him and pushing him and pushing him, and we don't know who that person is. No investigation there.
How much more momentum do you think the conspiracy theory that, as Gretchen said, is filling those unanswered questions is going to grow?
Yeah, well, I mean, you really see there when you have the likes of Tucker Carlson talking about this, these are not people who tend to let something go very easily. And as Gretchen said, I mean, a lot of this has been building up.
I like the people in here that are like, this conspiracy theory is too far fetched for them, but Hillary Clinton eating children was fine. They're like, that's believable.
Because of frustration in the MAGA base, first with Epstein, now with the Iran war. And as you sort of saw there with Joe Kent, he was suggesting the possibility that there could be some Israeli involvement in the assassination attempt in Butler, which there's no evidence for.
Right.
But you can see how this is sort of going hand in hand with the disillusionment with the war in Iran. We should point out, both departments of justices under President Trump and President Biden both said very clearly that Crooks acted alone. So as far as what the officials are saying is that there's nothing to see here, but also as you saw in the piece, you have messengers like Kash Patel and of course former Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino, who themselves had dabbled in conspiracy theories for a long time, and now they are the ones trying to push back on this.
So Gretchen, this does come amid when we talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene and you're talking about Tucker Carlson, the cracks that we've seen in Trump's base. And we have seen that this is actually one of the newer issues that this one is metastasizing, but also on Iran and the.
What do you guys like? What's the most compelling one to you? For me, it's the ear. And does anybody know? For those who don't believe this conspiracy theory, could you could you point me in a direction that would explain how Trump's ear was not ripped apart and how it healed so quickly? Have you seen anybody discredit that? God healed it. Oh, good point. Good point. I forgot about God. My bad. Yeah, again, never released his medical records, which I don't think that they would. Most compelling to you is that he's not talking about it. I mean, I guess if you want devil's advocate, maybe he's not talking about it because Thomas Crooks was initially a Trump supporter. There were no connections to any leftist groups. Could be the same thing with Tyler Robinson. But these guys, they were all Republican adjacent. Oh, because he's Jesus. I didn't think about that. His ear has a rare condition called never hit it. Hammy said, my theory's been shrapnel of some time or when they covered him. That's what I think too. Yeah, because he does grab his ear and he does seem shocked by that. So maybe shrapnel. He's Donald Jesus Trump. He healed himself. Evander Holyfield. Okay.
Epstein files and other ones. And while Trump says there's no problem at all, right? He likes to point to that NBC crosstab that said he had 100% approval rating among MAGA. But he is doing everything he can to win back Joe Rogan. Okay, he signed that psychedelic drugs thing and Joe Rogan came to the White House. That's an issue Joe Rogan cares a lot about. But Rogan has taken Trump on presidentially defining issues like Epstein and the Iran war. Here he is.
It looks terrible for Trump when he was saying that none of this was real. This is all a hoax. This is not a hoax. It's like, what the are we doing? Most people.
556 is so fast. What'd you say there? It burns the skin when it's a graze wound. So would that? Are you saying that would cauterize it? What are you saying with that?
That voted for Trump or wanted Trump to be in office, one of the things that was attractive was this no more wars.
Sure, of course.
And now we're in one of the craziest ones.
How much does Trump fear Joe Rogan's criticism?
A lot more than these other influencers, and here's why. In my mind, Joe Rogan was really giving birth to the bro culture of podcasting.
His ear shot healed in under a week, and an IV in his hands didn't heal for months. Not buying it. Ah, good point. Yeah, he is 80 years old. Damn near. What was 78 at the time?
And that was essential in Trump winning the last election with
would have had cavitation injuries. I don't know what that is.
Men. I believe that Joe Rogan basically was one of the top three most.
It's a good question, Locke. Corey Comparatori died when Trump got shot at. Was that stage 2? No, I mean, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. What I would love to see, and I haven't seen, it would be interesting to see and it would be good to see a forensic explanation of this. How far offline was it to hit Corey Comparatori? How far did he have to miss by to hit Corey? I don't know.
Most important people in Trump winning that election. So if you lose that now, I mean, those were people, by the way, that would never have voted for Trump before. They would have probably voted for a Democrat. Now you've got this wave of young men, thanks to Joe Rogan, who vote for Trump.
I do know that it was powerful, though. I do know that in this moment, and I've said this before, one of probably my most politically connected friend, who's relatively apolitical, texted me that day and was like, "It's over. Trump just won." And there were a lot of people, that was the reaction on the internet, is how fucking cool was that? He got shot and then he stood up. That was good for the bros. The bros loved that. They love seeing a guy stand up and say, fight, fight, fight.
Now you're going to lose that potentially. I think it's way more important. Plus, he's a little bit more mainstream than a Tucker Carlson, than a Candace Owens, than these people who have been saying weird stuff for a long time. So I think that Joe Rogan is essential for staying on Trump's side, according to Trump.
Joe Rogan is as mainstream as it gets for someone who had supported Trump. He truly is.
And Rogan, by the way, Rogan's the main comment.
I mean, people use the word logic loosely, but I took logic and ethics in college in my 40s, got an A, well done. And it's hugely impactful. I vote we mandate gradient levels of logic in primary education. It would fix so much. Oh, wouldn't that be beautiful?
On UFC, right? Rogan also has expressed, he said, I don't know how good idea it is having a UFC event in the White House, which is happening in June when there's a war going on. But I'll tell you who I think should be really nervous when they see the Rogan stuff and stuff about young men, because I was at...
Remember when Kamala approval was through the roof? No, because that literally never happened. Remember when they were predicting a Kamala sweep in the election? A sweep, like all 50 states? That didn't happen either. No, she never had super high approval. She was marginally ahead. In fact, when Biden was losing in the poll, let's look at the let's look at the election polling. I think you're wrong about that. You want to go back? I just don't think you're right about that. You look at polling, this is right up to the election. It was a dead heat. She took, I mean, at no point was she ever way ahead. The most we're going to see ahead is 3 points there, 2 there, 2 there, 3. I mean, it was neck and neck the entire time. She was never way ahead. Nobody was ever predicting a sweep. And you can see as the election got closer, it narrowed. So no, that didn't happen. See how you guys have to rewrite history all the time?
CPAC a few weeks ago, talking to many young MAGA voters there. J.D. Vance, because these were guys who, would naturally were gravitating toward Vance, but the war has changed all of that. So I think, in terms of presidential hopes in the future, Vance must be watching this closely.
Right, yeah.
Terry said my dad's earlobe was bit off and never grew back. All right. Was your dad Evander Holyfield? The fuck? Jeremy, can you send that? You can see the bullet whiz by in a video. What camera is picking up a bullet?
And Joe Rogan maintaining he's going to call it like he sees it when it comes to these things. All right, thanks both of you very much. And next, King.
All right. Anyways, it's a good question. I don't know how important it is. Probably not that important. We might have spent too much time on that, but it is. It's a good question. In slow motion, what video? You think a slow-mo camera from that distance, you can see the bullet going by? I don't think so. Let's see if I can find it. Saw the pic too. It's a still picture. There's slow motion videos and analysis related to the Butler, Pennsylvania shooting. Most of what's public shared is reconstructed footage or synced eyewitness video, not a clean slow motion recording of the bullet itself. Doug Mills photo description. What is this?
It happened so fast, but now I can see it all in slow motion. I never thought I'd ever see an assassination attempt on the president and to be there to photograph it. My name is Doug Mills. I've been covering politics since 1983, and I was yesterday covering President Trump's
Is this the guy?
rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. I was taking pictures, and that's when the pops started happening. And I just happened
you're saying right there? Okay, let's see.
Started happening.
We're saying right there?
And I just happened to have my finger on the shutter, and I heard the pops and just kept shooting.
That reaction.
And I heard the pops.
I gotta say,
just happened
that reaction time would be crazy.
I was taking pictures, and that's when the pops started happening. and I just happened to have my finger on the shutter, and I heard the pops and just kept shooting. I didn't know what I had captured, but when I got to my laptop, I could see that bullet flying behind his head, because it's definitely not in the frames right before it, and it's not in afterwards. It's only that one frame, and I was shooting in 8,000th of a second. It captured that streak behind him. I covered the president for 40 plus.
I don't know. Yeah. I hadn't seen that before. Cartilage doesn't grow back. Are y'all okay? Yeah. I'm with you there. I just don't know why. It seems like if there's this many people questioning it, why not release the medical records? Why not do a full investigation? We've investigated the 2020 election like 850 fucking times. We can't do that. We can't do this one once. That's a good point. Nobody is arguing he wasn't shot at necessarily. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Trumps. This is Eric Trump. The sons, I can't believe we're doing this, but we did 4 years of Hunter Biden, and now Trump's kids are just getting military contracts. They have no expertise. They have no history of working in any of these industries. They're investing in these companies, and then these companies are getting massive military contracts. But the reason this video caught my attention is because Eric Trump is he's really good at Patrick Bet-Daviding in using a whole bunch of words to say absolutely nothing.
Eric, I know this is a lot about national security, but Sadket's talking to us about other use cases. Tell us about that, and how did you get involved? What attracted you to this company?
Well, Sanket's been a friend of mine, and I walked into his factory, and I couldn't believe what I saw. You know, coming from hospitality, the uses are unlimited. But, you know, Maria, you're just talking about China. You know, we are America first. We have
Okay. He's going to tell you why this industry is so exciting to him and what it means for us and why we should be excited.
to win this race. We've had to win a lot of races, right? You know, I got involved with crypto in a very big way because we had to win that digital revolution. We have to.
What? Why do we have to win the crypto digital revolution? And did we? Crypto's a Ponzi scheme. So he's now comparing the need to win a Ponzi scheme with his investment here in AI robotics.
Win robotics in the United States of America. You had a great segment 2 days ago, Maria, about the robot in Beijing that was literally running marathons and beating the fastest marathoners by, what, 7-8 minutes for a full marathon. I mean,
cool. Something, a non-human beat a human in a race. Cool. Cars are also faster. What's the application there? We're just going to watch the New York City Marathon now, and there will be like a robot division.
You know, these are in the very early days. We better be winning this race in the United States of America. We're the greatest economy in the world,
Why?
and that's exactly what Sanket's doing. And
Why? Why do we need to win this race? How is this going to benefit us? Why is this important that we have faster robots?
I'm telling you, he's doing a phenomenal job. When you go up and you interact
Also, need to point out that it was China and not us, so it sounds like we're not winning that.
with these robots and they fist bump you, they high five you, they follow your commands, you bring in AI autonomy, it's going to change industry, it's going to change military application, it's going to change hospitality.
The guys, they can fist bump. They can high five you. It's going to change everything. Now, when you walk into a hotel, instead of seeing a human, a robot might fist bump you. It's so pathetic that nobody can explain this AI revolution that we've literally bet our entire economy on. Yeah, thank you, Noodle Poodle. Can we just have healthcare? We just want healthcare, please. Can we just have healthcare? That'd be great. But they can do cool tricks. You can make up a secret handshake with your robot. You can do it in front of others, and it will be very impressive. This is just like rich people shit. These are just toys, and they're talking about this like it's super important. The two things he's mentioning that has made him rich are toys and Ponzi schemes, and he's like, it's very important that we be the best at toys and Ponzi schemes, while he's showing a video of us getting our ass kicked with the toys.
Uses are unlimited, and I think it's a very beautiful thing, but we must win this race.
Yeah, no, I think you make great points. And second,
Yeah, you make great points, Eric. Hard to argue with that. We have to win this race. Very important. I'd rather replace the AI centers with wind and solar farms. Yeah, we don't have to allow AI to run everything. We don't have to replace ourselves with robots just because they exist. I've been saying this for a long time, and there's a lot of Republicans that are here every day. Robert, I don't know if you're here, but I've been saying the same thing to your dad. You don't have to use the suction cup dildo in the shower every day. You don't have to. Just because it's there doesn't mean you have to back your ass into it every single day. You can just shower. You don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Something existing doesn't mean you have to use it. Doesn't mean it's important in your life. Was this? Oh, I got that one already. All right, moving on. I do want to talk about this too, because it's just another reminder of how far removed we have become from reality with MAGA. They're admitting it. The people in this chat are not going to admit it, but everybody knows, and everybody openly. Ben Shapiro has admitted this. Megyn Kelly's admitted this. Ann Coulter admits this. Tucker Carlson. Literally everybody admits that the Trump family is doing incredibly corrupt things, and they are making billions and billions of dollars, and nobody could understand why. So let me just tell you who these two. This is Jared Kushner, who has virtually no experience, should not be negotiating, doesn't work for the government. And this is Trump's golf buddy, Steve Witkoff, who also has no experience. And we are trying to get them to negotiate all these deals in the Middle East. And in every instance, Jared Kushner is making a fortune, and Steve Witkoff's son's company is also making a fortune. And you know Steve's getting a kickback there too. We have two people negotiating our foreign policy who are making billions of dollars by using our government, using our military, using our taxpayer dollars as leverage to force other countries to pay them money so that we will protect them. And we can't get Republicans to care about that.
And as top American representatives descended upon Pakistan for peace talks with Iran, the U.S. team, led by Vice President J.D. Vance and Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff, also included the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. He's emerged as one of the administration's key foreign policy advisors, even though the White House confirms he holds no official government position.
Technically, I have not joined the administration, so I'm still just a volunteer like other businessmen who volunteer to help the government when asked.
A volunteer.
Should I just get into politics? No. Give me an example of another time ever. We're going to talk to Al Hasir. Give me an example of another time that the people responsible for negotiating our foreign policy were this transparently on the take. We'll wait. This makes Dick Cheney look like he's ethical. By the way, volunteer. Yeah, volunteer. You know why he's a volunteer? Because if Jared Kushner worked for the government, he would be exposed and he would be required to file financial disclosures. So he's not going to get paid because then he would have to show that he's making a fortune off of this. And the Trumps and Republicans know that even though it's widely known, it's 100% true that he's getting billions of dollars from these people, that MAGA won't fucking care. So you can just do this. You can just be like, he's actually just such a good guy that he's volunteering his time. For sure. For sure, that's what he's doing, and not negotiating and using the military as leverage to force Saudi Arabia and the Qataris to give him more money. Yeah, but Hunter Biden syndrome in the chat. Yeah. Give me one. Good one, kid. Look at their financial disclosures. Anyone from the past 6 years? Give me a name. See, this is all of you. Give me a name. Let's do this for real. Let's not call me kid when you can't give me a name. Give me one fucking name. That should be easy, right? Because it's every one of them for the last 60 years. Give me one fucking person who negotiated a ceasefire, who was also taking billions of dollars from the people involved in the negotiations. One name, please. All of you, every single one. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's exactly what I thought you would say. I don't know. I just call people dumb and then I don't have real world examples. Thank you so much, Caskets, for the gifted subs. Appreciate it. You're always so generous. Appreciate that.
Here, tasked with negotiating sensitive matters of war and peace. His full-time job is running a multi-billion-dollar venture capital firm, Affinity Partners,
which he had no experience running until after he worked for the Trump administration, went and negotiated the Abraham Accords, which were just a business deal, and then stepped out of office and immediately got $2 billion from the Saudis. I think his fund is up to like $5 billion now. And just wait to see what other negotiations he's been a part of. This is the most corrupted administration in history. You could take all the corruption in totality of every president who's ever been president in this country, and it wouldn't sniff the amount of corruption by the Trump family.
And that company has raised billions of dollars almost entirely from the Middle East, the same region where Kushner is currently negotiating on behalf of the
Nixon wasn't a crook. He said he wasn't.
president. Kushner founded Affinity Partners in 2021 after the first Trump administration and when his role as an official White House advisor had ended. Maureen Farrell with the New York Times has been tracking him.
Hey, Mods, can you help me out? Whoever that was. Al-Hasira, whatever your name is. Give me a name, one name, or we got to mute you till you can find a name. Thanks.
His business deals.
He had a close relationship with Mohammed bin Salman during the first Trump administration. Very shortly after he left the administration, Jared Kushner went back to Saudi Arabia, this time as a fundraiser. And Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, or PIF, invested $2 billion into Jared Kushner's investment fund.
I was joking about Nixon, bud.
When Trump returned to the White House in January 2025,
Nixon was absolutely a crook. He's famous for saying, "I'm not a crook." Yes, I know my history.
Kushner and his wife Ivanka Trump did not come back to Washington. But then last summer, Kushner was dispatched by the president to work on the war in Gaza. He and Witkoff met with regional leaders and successfully brokered a peace agreement to end the fighting and secure the release of hostages.
Oh, good. Did he get paid for that? We'll find out.
After that deal was struck in October, Kushner was asked during a 60 Minutes interview about his potential conflicts of interest. He said in part,
"What people call conflicts of interest, Steve and I call experience and trusted relationships that we have throughout the world. If Steve and I didn't have the
business relationships, and you only get money because of who daddy is, and then you're using our military as leverage to make money.
These deep relationships, the deal that we were able to help get done.
Barr said, "Okay, Robo, roll over. Now shake. Okay, now win the Boston Marathon."
That freed these hostages would not have occurred.
2 months later, Kushner and Witkoff traveled to Russia to meet with President Vladimir Putin to discuss a ceasefire in the war with Ukraine.
Can we also just point out, why the fuck do we keep sending them? They're for a fucking lifetime. They can't negotiate anything. These guys are dog shit at negotiating. Secondly, we keep calling Donald Trump a great fucking negotiator. Why isn't he negotiating anything? How come he's sending these two people that lose like they can't negotiate shit? Why isn't Trump over there negotiating?
Used to amaze me.
And earlier this year, Kushner accompanied his father-in-law during a trip to Davos, Switzerland, for the high-flying World Economic Forum, a who's who of business elites and world leaders. In a regulatory filing last month, Kushner's Affinity Partners reported more than $6.1 billion in assets.
Oh.
About 99% of those assets belong to non-U.S. investors.
Say what? Hunter Biden what? What was he accused of, like a couple million? He never, he wasn't negotiating deals on behalf of the government. $6.1 billion, 99% of which belongs to people outside of the United States. He didn't have Affinity Partners before he was before he worked for the Trump administration. In fact, Jared Kushner mostly has been like a pretty shitty developer. He had to get bailed out a bunch of times. His family's not very good at this. He was a pretty unremarkable person. He just comes from rich parents. And now he starts a fund, and he's got $6 billion. No Americans will give him any money. Why aren't the Americans giving him money? How come Americans aren't lining up to give Jared Kushner money? How come it's all of these other countries? And how come every time they give him money, they wind up getting a favor from Donald Trump? Nothing to see here.
With most of the funds tied to Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. And Affinity Partners was...
point out once again, Saudi Arabia funded 9/11. No big deal.
Looking to raise more. Farrell was first to report in the New York Times in March that Kushner had held preliminary talks with the Saudis about raising billions of additional dollars for affinity partners.
He's out there negotiating peace deals with governments, working with various governments in the Middle East. He's already been working with them in the
Hey, Howdy says, fuck AI. I agree.
private sector, investing their funds and getting big fees from these governments. So it raises all sorts of questions about who is he working for? How does he draw the lines as this is all happening?
In a statement to PBS News.
Okay, who does he work for? It's not even a question. Who does he work for? We don't pay him. 99% of his money comes from other countries. Who does he work for? Not us. Why do we have somebody with the most obvious conflicts of interest in the world negotiating these deals? And these other countries that are invested in him, and the Qataris, Saudi Arabia, they were part of that Abraham Accords, which said what? They were going to work with Israel. It was like a business development deal. And then Israel just proceeded to go and genocide the Gazans, the Gaza Strip. And Jared Kushner has said like a million times, they're never getting that back. We're going to develop that. And he's going to be involved in that investment. And then they created a board of peace who's going to be over that. And Donald Trump is king for life of the board of peace. And he'll get to choose the successor, which who the fuck do you think that's going to be? Jared Kushner. This is fucking crazy that we're pretending that this administration isn't working for other governments. They are literally doing absolutely fuck all for you, and you still get mad at us. You don't have to agree with my politics. You're wrong, by the way. If you don't agree with me, you're just wrong, always. That's the rules. You don't have to agree with that, but can you please just wake the fuck up for a second here? Donald Trump has his next job lined up, and it is like king of the board of peace, which will operate outside of influence from the United States. You have all abandoned our country. You have placed all of your faith in Donald Trump and the Trump family. You are no longer patriots. You are no longer loyal to this country. You don't love this country. You're not you are traitors to our country. You are enabling the fleecing of the United States. Trump is taking $10 billion fucking dollars of our money and putting it into this fund that he controls. And you will get no benefit from, and you will have no say in it. So if Donald Trump decides to be an absolute psycho, or if Jared Kushner decides to be an absolute psycho, the reason they were able to do this is because of your loyalty and your cuckery to Donald Trump. Can we please, for the love of God, wake the fuck up? You don't have to be a liberal or a progressive or a Marxist or a communist to recognize that they are not doing anything for you. This is all for them, just financially, and it is hurting us. It's massively hurting us. The tariffs that we have been paying, that now we have to pay back. Those tariffs were used as leverage to funnel money to Jared Kushner and to the Trump's company, World Liberty Financial. Trump cut people a deal. Shoot, I just moved my desk like crazy. Trump cut people a deal so that they could get out of tariffs if they would invest with Jared Kushner and World Liberty Financial. He leveraged your money, which we're now paying back, so he could pocket money himself. And we can't get you guys to criticize that. There is no world where you are living in reality. You will jack off to a Nick Shirley video for 6 fucking months, and it doesn't come close to the amount of fraud, waste, and abuse by the Trump administration that is directly going into their pockets. In fact, I just saw an announcement from Republicans the other day, again, alleging, without any evidence, that somehow Ilhan Omar was getting kickbacks from the $9 billion of alleged fraud in Minnesota with absolutely no evidence, literally no evidence whatsoever. This motherfucker has gotten $6 billion. It's like $20+ billion that the Trumps have taken in foreign investments since they took office, and they are personally benefiting to the tune of we're up, I think, about $5 billion now. And you will spend all of your time chasing Ilhan Omar who at best, like even if what they say is right, we're talking about legitimately a couple $100,000. They don't have evidence for that. I don't believe that it's true because there is no evidence. If there is, we'll certainly turn on Ilhan Omar. I have no problem with that. As of right now, I'm a supporter of Ilhan Omar. If it's proven that she was on the take, fuck her. Like, get out of there. Nobody gives a shit. Leave office. But how can you care about that? How can you care about Nancy Pelosi and insider trading and Hillary's emails and Hunter Biden? And when the most obvious fraud possible is in front of you, you're like, well, at least he's transparent about it.
NewsHour, Affinity Partners acknowledged Kushner did speak with Saudi Arabia's public investment fund about raising new
Becky said cheating and finishing the show tonight. It's too good.
money,
All right.
but
Cheating's
only
fine.
because it has an agreement to give the Saudis right of first refusal. Quote, Affinity had early conversations with its anchor investor and does not intend to take any additional capital while Jared is volunteering for the government. An SEC-registered investment firm, Affinity has abided by all laws and regulations and will continue to do so. As a government volunteer and not an employee, Kushner...
You can't convince me he isn't a million mantises in his skin coat. Yeah, we just want to be on the same page with you guys. I don't like the fraud in Minnesota. I don't like the fraud that happened in California. I don't like any fraud. I don't like any politicians. I will bury any of them at any point. Can you guys just get on board with that, where we just all agree that if a politician is caught committing a crime, we don't go, what about? Let's bury them all together.
is exempt from the usual financial disclosure laws. But Democratic members of Congress are still pressing the administration to answer whether Kushner is using his influence for personal financial gain. In a March 19th letter to the White House, Senator Ron Wyden and Representative Robert Garcia wrote, quote, his actions raise the potential for Mr. Kushner to be subject to conflicts of interest, which could threaten the security of the American people. And Kushner isn't the only member of the Trump family expanding their business interests. In their father's first term, President Trump's sons, Don Jr. and Eric, mostly focus on managing the family business, the Trump Organization's portfolio of hotels, golf resorts.
All of PBS is BS. You got to go somewhere else, Mr. Bulbul. You got to go somewhere else. This isn't for you. You got to go to a dumber place. You can't be a person here where we just discredit things because of a logo. That's dumb thinking. It's why you're a Trump supporter. Go somewhere else. This is going to be a bad place for you.
And other real estate. But not anymore.
Thank you, Maverick. There we go. All corruption's bad. We love that. Let's say it together. So what do we do, Maverick? How do we move forward? Stop being loyal to politicians. Anytime a politician does something corrupt, call it out. And you can say whatever you want about me, but you've been here long enough, Maverick, that you know goddamn well there is not a single politician and as long as you've been watching, who's been caught doing something corrupt that I didn't spend time on my show criticizing. I spent probably 45 minutes on Eric Swalwell. We covered, what was the guy's name in Texas, the Democrat in Texas? Somebody help me with his name. Gold Bar Bob Mendez. Is it Menendez or Mendez? I can't remember. Quick, name a politician who has been caught doing something corrupt that I've ignored. I covered the Minnesota fraud a year before Nick Shirley did, and then when Nick Shirley covered it, I covered it when he covered it too. I did make fun of him a lot because he's an idiot. It's Menendez. Thank you. Henry Cuellar. See? They all know. I showed the Nick Shirley thing in California. I had never covered it before, but it had been covered before Nick Shirley. Yeah, I made fun of Nick Shirley because you got to be better than that. If you think Nick Shirley is learning anything new, just Google anything he said and find out that somebody else reported it like a year ago. But this isn't a place where you're going to see us defending politicians. I want all corruption out. I want all money out of politics. It's like there's two things I care about. If we did this in the chat for all the mag, watch. To my audience, what are the two things I care most about? Like if I was a politician, there are two things I would change overnight that I think would fix America. And what are they? I bet most of the people in here are going to be able to tell you what it is. Warning, car found in parking lot. Watch. See? Universal health care, ending Citizens United. Get rid of the fraud in healthcare, get rid of the fraud in politics. It fixes almost all of our problems. I don't know if you could find a program that is more dedicated to uncovering and discussing and criticizing fraud. If you're a Republican and you hate fraud, congratulations, you're in the right place. And congratulations, you're in a place that won't cover for Democrats when they do it, because fuck the Democrats too. But this is the place, like earlier we had the CNN stuff on there, like how do we come together? And Scott Jennings is right. We have to get to a place of shared reality. We have to start being willing to admit that things are fraudulent. So that thing that happens when you see fraud committed by somebody you voted for, and we all have that to some extent, right? Like admittedly, like I have to sometimes force myself to dig a little deeper if it happens to be a politician that I like that's accused of fraud. But you got to get rid of that. Donald Trump plays by a totally different set of rules, and that's where like we will never be able to agree. If we can't agree that when somebody's found guilty that they are guilty, then we're done. We're cooked. We're fucked forever. But you can't be somebody who thinks that like corruption is bad and then watch this and say, oh, it's not corruption, it must be fake news. Then this isn't the place for you. Then go check out Benny Johnson. That's a good spot for you. Go find somebody who just dick rides this administration. This isn't the spot for you. But if you legitimately care about being around people who want to get corrupt people out of politics, end Citizens United tomorrow. You want our politicians to tell the truth? You have to make them accountable to you. The only way you can make them accountable to you is remove the thing that they're accountable to right now, which is money, which none of us have the money to outweigh the influence of these political action groups and these big money interest groups. None of us have the ability to do that. So we have to get rid of that. And then and then like fraud is going to be clear, because what's going to happen is a bunch of people are going to leave Congress. There's a lot of people like Rick Scott's a good example. There's a lot of people in Congress that wouldn't be there if they couldn't continue insider trading. You can throw Nancy Pelosi on that list if you want to. It's weird. Neither one of those guys are actually the top insider traders. The top insider traders in Congress, most of us have never heard of. But you want to empty Congress, make it so they literally can't make anything more than their salary, and watch how many people flee. But I think you would be surprised who didn't leave. Like you'd be shocked. Like Elizabeth Warren's not going anywhere. Bernie Sanders isn't going anywhere. Ilhan Omar is probably not going anywhere unless we find out she did have some fraud on the side. AOC is not going anywhere. I don't think Josh Hawley's going anywhere. I don't think Matt Gaetz would have went anywhere. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene would have stuck around. I think Lauren Boebert would stick around. Ironically, like the most principled people that you have in your party right now as Republicans, as much as I hate most of their politics, Thomas Massie, he'd stick around. Rand Paul would stick around. I think what's her first name? Luna. I always forget. There was a girl I went to school with named Darla Luna, and I always forget Luna's first name. Nancy Mace might stick around. The women in your party are the only ones that have much in terms of principles. But you want real people doing real work for you, for the beliefs that you have. You should just agree with us, and we should call out all fraud, including right now the most fraudulent administration in the history of our country. Billions. They've made fucking billions. Anna Paulina. Thank you, Anna Paulina Luna. Billions. Trump has made motherfucking billions of dollars in less than a year and a half. Please, join us in reality, please.
Kyle Kahn-Mullins is a reporter for Forbes.
What changed? Well, what changed is that Donald Trump won the White House again, and the Trumps have kind of stopped caring about the appearance of conflicts of interest.
Megan, thanks for the Antifa dues. Amy said, Dems get rid of their sexual abusers and fraudsters. Trump pardons them, including the Dems. That's true. He did pardon Henry Cuellar. Did he pardon Menendez? I think he did, right?
Since 2024, the Trump sons have been aggressively investing in a host of emerging technologies, like cryptocurrency, where deregulation has significantly boosted the Trump sons' fortunes. But it's a handful of other new business ventures that have been raising the most attention lately.
Good point. People that don't take AIPAC money will stick around.
War in Iran escalated in the past month. The urgent need for the U.S. to scale up its drone technology came into sharp.
Is that true about Ro Khanna? He's made the most amount of trades as of December 2025. That's gross. I've really liked Ro Khanna lately. I really didn't like him before. I'm really torn on him.
Sharper focus. We learned Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump have invested in at least 3 drone companies since 2024. The most recent deal involves drone maker Power Us, which announced last month it would merge with a golf course holding company backed by the Trump sons, with plans to create a new publicly traded company. As Power Us looks to expand into military drone technology, it will compete for government contracts under the Pentagon's $1.1 billion Drone Dominance Initiative. After the Trump administration in December banned all new foreign-made drones, citing national security. Power Us has also been pitching drone...
What did you say there, Apple? You're missing the point of how Trump and his inner circle of friends have made a killing in not only the stock markets in America and in all the world exchanges by shorting shares. Estimated 1 trillion. I don't know how. I don't know how far you're expanding that scope of like who qualifies as Trump's inner circle and friends, but yeah, they've definitely done that.
Interceptors to several Gulf nations to help them ward off Iranian drone attacks, positioning Power Us and the Trump sons to potentially profit.
That's a good point, actually, Ross Ferrato. Even saying I liked X is allowing us to be conditioned to viewing politicians, people to like or dislike. I guess what I was saying is I didn't pay much attention to Ro Khanna, and I've really liked some of the work that he's done recently. And when I say I like them, it's never their personalities. It's I like the work that they're doing. So that's what I meant by that. But that's a good point.
From a war their father began. And as that war continues to spike global energy prices, the Trump sons' investment in nuclear fusion power has gained attention too.
The Trump Media and Technology Group is announcing plans to merge with TAE Technologies. That is a fusion power company.
Late last year,
This was weird. Pay attention to this. Like, this is when the corruption is so transparent. This merger makes absolutely no sense.
President Trump's social media company, in which his son, Don Jr., is a member of the board, agreed to merge with TAE Technologies in a deal that would create one of the first publicly traded nuclear fusion companies. The deal is valued at more than $6 billion.
Trump Media merges with TAE Technologies. Now, this is Trump's company, which I believe the reason they made this merger is because I think Trump Media was public, and so that allowed TAE to go public. This is incredibly corrupt. The two businesses have nothing to do with each other. Trump, who says he's divested from his company, then says, oh, I had nothing to do with this merger. And what this does is this, as you merge here and then you have publicly traded, like immediately your stock value goes up. And then a bunch of people, if you want people to bribe, they can come in and they can buy up your stock, drive your stock price up. And then what does TAE Technologies do? They apply for government contracts. And then when they get those government contracts, that drives the stock price up again. Yeah, Trump Media is about to go under. Yeah, I don't know where they're at now, but like True Social bleeds money. They bleed money. They make no money. So this was literally just saying like, hey, TAE, you're gonna want some government contracts with us. Here's how you're gonna do it. You're gonna merge with our company. We're gonna have stock. We're gonna share stock with you. And as we bring in this revenue from the government, we're gonna share in making it. Like this is directly Donald Trump paying himself through government contracts. We already talked about the fraud in LA. Jacob, welcome here. Here we don't like any fraud. No fraud. The fraud that happened in LA, there was a lot of it, and they're investigating that. And every one of those people should go to jail. And we talked about that. I've spent far more time. I've spent a whole show on that. So I don't want to hear it from you. Now call this fraud.
The company said they intend to begin construction on the first utility-scale fusion power plant later this year.
Nuclear fusion. Yeah, that's what the Trumps are into. That makes total sense that True Social now is a nuclear fusion company, for sure.
But first, TAE...
I'm not a Democrat. I don't support any party, crazy honky. I am a registered Republican. So I guess if you're going to say I support any party, it would be Republicans.
He needs to prove fusion power can work at scale. Scientists have spent decades trying to harness fusion, the process that powers the sun, and progress has been incremental at best.
The big yellow one is the
Jr. has
sun.
also taken an active role in a range of business activities that fall outside the scope of the Trump Organization. Since 2024, he has joined the boards of 4 companies and has been named an advisor to 6 others.
Bro, what? Remember when the argument was, and again, what Hunter Biden did was trade on his family's name, and that should absolutely be illegal. It's not illegal, but it should have been illegal. He shouldn't. That should all be required to be divested. But even when he went and he joined the board of Burisma, he had some experience because he had been on the board of Amtrak. And what he was hired to do at Burisma is logistics, specifically logistics with trains. So there was like, at least there was something there. Blink RX. What is that? Is that because he's a cokehead? Like his drug use got him on the board of Blink RX? Columbia, what is that? Columbia CR or Columbia CR? I don't know. There's Acquisition Group, Public Square, Kalshi, Polymarket. These are two competitors. This doesn't make sense. Why would two competitors put the same guy on the board? Unusual Machines, which I think is the drone company. I don't know what MMA Inc. is. Another holdings company, acquisition company. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Why do you think he's involved with so many different organizations and businesses?
So Don Jr., he's a man in demand. He has always been the more politically active, more politically connected of the two brothers. So if you're...
How come he wasn't a man in demand before his dad was president? How come he was a joke before dad was president, but now suddenly everybody wants to work with him? What did he do? What success has Don Jr. had in life that would make him a man in demand? He ran away from his family for a long time. He didn't want to work in the family business. He failed. He came back. He works for the family business. He's been dad's little errand boy. Nobody gave a fuck about this guy until dad was president, and now suddenly he's so important. Alberto said, thanks for all your great work. Thanks, I appreciate that. Just a reminder, guys, we got about, 40 minutes left, and we are crowdfunded. You can see the remaining balance of our gift goal. If you could help us knock that out by the end of the live, that would be greatly appreciated. We rely on your generosity in order to keep this going. And by God, you guys are generous. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to tell you thank you. I got to be honest, like, not a great morning for me this morning. I didn't really want to be here today, but I get here and I enjoy interacting with you. So thank you so much. We could kick off a dollar train or however we want to do it, but 40 more minutes of talking about the Trumps probably.
For a company that's looking to get into the good graces of the federal government, why would you not hire the president's outspoken son?
While they sometimes appear at White House events,
he's a
Eric and Donald Trump
cokehead with
Jr.
no
are
experience.
not government officials and are not subject to federal ethics rules or disclosure requirements.
They certainly do have a right to be making a living. That's absolutely true. What the second Trump administration has kind of revealed is that all those ethics rules have turned out to be a little bit like the Pirates Code from Pirates of the Caribbean, more like guidelines than actual rules.
Without those rules, the president's son-in-law and his two oldest sons have seen their fortunes dramatically increase.
Forbes estimated that the Trump brothers, Eric and Don Jr., they were worth about $40–50 million each before the 2024 election. About a year later, we valued Eric at $400 million and Donald Trump Jr. at about $300 million. So they both multiplied their wealth many times over.
Oh, cool. Cool. Brilliant. They're so good at business.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Liz Landers.
All right. Great reporting by PBS. Weekend, as always, PBS is great. If you don't like PBS, it's because they report truth on Donald Trump. Trump stopped aging at 8. Jesus. All right, I want to get into some congressional testimony for the rest of the live today. Tomorrow, hopefully, we'll get to Iran, which is a clusterfuck. Well, I want to start with this before the congressional testimony. Sorry, I forgot this wasn't in there. This is Brooke Rollins. She's the agricultural secretary, and she was on the Varney show, Fox Business show, and Varney just wants an answer. And we would all love answers from the Trump administration. For the record, I don't think that it is Brooke Rollins' fault that she doesn't know the answer to this question. She's a fucking idiot, and she has no qualifications for this job. And she has no fucking clue what she's doing. Like many of the positions in the Trump cabinet, these are just figureheads who go out there and worship Donald Trump openly. And the real work is done behind the scenes, which is always why these heads of these secretaries always seem so goddamn confused. She has no clue. And Varney's going to press her on. She acknowledges that we have a problem, especially in the Midwest, with fertilizer. And we also need to acknowledge that this war in Iran is causing gas prices to go up and causing fertilizer prices to skyrocket. And she keeps saying, like, we have a plan, we're going to do something about this, but we're still waiting for the Trump administration and Secretary Rollins to tell us what they're going to do about it. And Varney's had about enough, and he's going to ask the question, and she was not equipped.
Do you have a plan to mitigate this fertilizer problem, Madam Secretary?
Well, great to be on with you, Stuart. Thank you so much. Yes, we have been every day now for almost 50 days, daily meetings in the White House. I've been meeting with the fertilizer CEOs, small companies and big companies from all over the world. The good news, let me do the good news first, is that because of President Trump's energy independence policy, America has plenty of fertilizer. There are a lot of other countries around the world.
How about energy first, energy independence? Give us more fertilizer. I don't know what she's talking about there. That doesn't make any sense.
World that do not. The fact that we became an LNG exporter versus a net importer a handful of years ago, again, because of the president's focus, means that America has fertilizer when a lot of the other countries do not because of what's happening over in the Middle East. Having said that, I think that was Steve Moore I heard talking. What he said was correct, that the increase in price has been significant. But I do want to double back about during the Biden years, fertilizer had already jumped 40%. So our farmers are really feeling this. This is a really, really tough time for fertilizer for those that didn't pre-book in the fall. A lot of them did, but not all of them, especially in the South.
But what's the plan?
We have lifted the Jones Act. We have opened up. Yeah.
What's the plan? Okay, so the Jones Act, I don't know. Somebody with a little more expertise can probably explain what sort of impact this has on it. The Jones Act, if I remember correctly, just basically says that you have to use like ships made in the United States and I think even like ports made in the United States in order to ship goods. So they've lifted that restriction so that boats can come in that weren't built in the United States. I don't know how that's impacting prices.
Lifted the Jones Act. We've opened up a line from Venezuela.
Yeah, but what's the plan?
Yes, go ahead, Stuart.
I mean, but what is the plan to deal with rising fertilizer costs, which will lead to rising? You've had lots of meetings. What's the plan?
That's right. So that's what I was walking through. So for the short term, lifting the Jones Act, which is very important.
Why? Does anybody know? I don't think that's a plan because that's already been done. Can anybody explain how lifting the Jones Act fixes this problem? The Mr. Jones Act? No. Shut the fuck up. Drink water and say something nice about yourself. Corvette Girl Robin said, show my support. Why do Republicans continue to support Trump? Because they really believe in taking a baby to full term. That's true. I appreciate you guys sticking to your beliefs. Purdy Kiki said, thank you, Jen, and the mods so much. And Walter, thanks for joining the Dollar Train and reminds us, fuck MAGA. Can anybody explain it, though? Like how the Jones Act is helping? I keep hearing them talk about it, but when I was researching the Jones Act, I don't know how that's going to. I guess it allows more more ships to come here.
Opening up additional lines. We've got more lines coming in from Venezuela. We are making permitting easier so we can begin to move it more quickly. We have had meeting after
permitting. I mean, these ideas are so outdated. Like just removing red tape is the Republicans' answer to everything. How about stop the fucking war? What if we just stopped the fucking war? We do that?
Meeting that Lee Zeldin at EPA has lifted some some diesel exhaust fuel rules so that makes it cheaper.
Emissions. Just deregulation. Crazy honky. What Democrat do you want me to talk about that's been defrauding people? And we'll tell you whether or not we've talked about them before. I've never seen you here. I think this is your first time, but you're in the wrong place, I think, if you think I won't criticize Democrats. But go ahead and name some names, and I'll go ahead and I'll talk about them.
Urea here in America, and then what it's done for the long term, and shining a light on this massive issue for our farmers is we have to reshore fertilizer back to America. We've been relying on Russia and China and some other countries, so reinvesting, reshoring in the fertilizer infrastructure in our country so that we can continue to rely, and if this happens again, we're going to be ready.
So what's the plan? Did anybody catch the plan there? Harris wants to run for president again. Good luck with that. Yeah, she's not going to win. Lindsay, thank you for sending your Antifa dues in. Appreciate that. And Sean said to help with the goal. Appreciate you, Sean. Did anybody catch the plan there? Any MAGA? Did we miss it? I know sometimes we have TDS, so we miss the plan. I think it's weird that Brennan's subpoena is rescinded the same day Biden's Rampart 12 operation comes to light. I honestly don't know what you're talking about. I'm unfamiliar with that story. If you want to send it to me, I'll look into it. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Okay, now let's get into these congressional hearings first. We were going to go to RFK, but I wanted to show this exchange between Sarah Eisen from CNBC and Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren is out of fucks to give. Q in the chat, Pocahontas. They're just going to talk about how Elizabeth Warren, they're going to discount everything she says because they think she lied about her ethnicity, which is super cool, guys. We see this every day, but I love Elizabeth Warren so much, and she's had enough of CNBC's bullshit.
Have been very outspoken on this show and otherwise on what the Fed should be doing. You also advocated for Lael Brainerd and Janet Yellen, who you were aligned with on policy views. I mean, this isn't that different, you know, with the president expressing what he wants in terms of policy and who he.
What they're talking about here is she was grilling the Trump's Fed nominee, Kevin Warsh, and she said essentially, like, how much influence is Trump going to have? And if Trump tells you to lower rates, are you just going to do it? Are you going to be a sock puppet for Trump? Or will you look at the data and make your decision that way? And then she's like, well, you supported other Fed chairs before. That's not a very good argument, because her question to Kevin Warsh essentially was, are you actually going to be independent, or are you just going to do what Trump says? That's a good question. Every single person who is nominated to be the chair of the Federal Reserve should be asked that question. I don't know why anybody would think that's a bad question, regardless of who's president. Kelly said, Noodle Poodle said, last night's movie night was so much fun. I love this community. Good. I'm glad you liked it. And a reminder to everybody, if you're a paid subscriber, you can join us every other Monday. Might change to Wednesday for movie night, where we watch a movie in the Discord together, and it's a good time. We all get elevated, and it's a kind of more of a low-key night. So if you'd like to join us for that, you can become a member either on YouTube or Twitch. And if you have Amazon Prime and you haven't already used your Prime membership to subscribe to us on Twitch, you can do that free of cost. Jeff Bezos will pay us for you to be a member. Can't do Wednesday? All right, it'll probably be Monday then. Just for you, Dragon Wizard.
I'm sorry. Is that real? It is not different to just say, here's my opinion, and here's how I read the numbers, and here's who I think has a good track record. You think that's the same as being the President of the United States and employing the Department of Justice to bring criminal charges against someone? Sending someone a notice that they have been fired? Donald Trump is not expressing an opinion. Donald Trump is trying to control the Fed. You know it, and I know it. And what he's also...
And you guys all know it, too. You all know that that's true. The Trump is literally just trying to put in a Fed chair who will lower rates. And that won't benefit you. That will hurt you. But it'll allow Trump and all of his rich friends to try and refinance some of their debt. Jacob said, got my mother, her sister, and her brother-in-law watching your show. This is their donation. Love you from Minnesota. Thank you, Jacob, and to Jacob's family, welcome. I was mild today, so it's good to have you guys here. I hope you stick around. Hope you enjoy the show today. William said, I had a fling with a lady janitor. She was always stoned, so I had to break it off with her. I'm just not into high-maintenance women.
Trying to do is to control the Fed by terrifying
then
all
why
of
didn't
them.
you ask? Then why didn't you ask Kevin Warsh about that? Why didn't you ask Kevin Warsh about the criminal investigation?
Oh, thanks. Crazy. I'll answer that in a sec.
We did. And do you know what he said? I asked him in my office. He said, I'm not going to comment on that because it's an ongoing investigation. Now, I could have spent 45 seconds having him say the same thing again, but he told every one of us the same thing. You'll get no comment from me on that, because that's what Kevin Warsh is doing. Exactly what you'd expect a sock puppet to do. Uncomfortable.
Correct. Lower interest rates will not benefit you. Correct.
Questions, he just says, I'm not going to answer them. I will not answer them, and I have nothing that I can disagree, not a single fact that I can disagree with Donald Trump on. I got to tell you, if the
Except for
sock
the central
fits,
casting thing,
and it sure does for
the
him.
central casting joke, he disagreed.
All right. Crazy Honk said, Southern Poverty Law Center funding the Nazi Party. That was the first story I covered today. You do have that incorrect. Then you said Eric Swalwell. I spent about 45 minutes on Eric Swalwell the day those accusations happened. I played the video of every single accuser. I think Eric Swalwell is an unbelievable piece of shit. And at the time, he had only paused his campaign. And I said, not only should he step away from the governor's race, he should resign from Congress, and he should never be seen again. And he should go, he should be prosecuted. And I hope that all of these women who he abused got justice. So I actually have covered all of those. Then you said Gavin Newsom making a law you can't report fraud. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. A governor can't write a law by themselves. So you might be talking about something that passed through Congress in California. I cover national politics. I don't cover a lot of like state politics. So I'm not sure what you're talking about, but even just your premise doesn't make any sense because Gavin Newsom can't unilaterally write a law that says you can't report fraud. So I think what you're talking about probably is the like Stop Nick Shirley Act or whatever they called it, which wasn't about fraud. It was about exposing the names of people who have government contracts and keeping them safe so that they're not doxxed by psychopaths. I don't know. I haven't read that entire bill, so I don't have a strong opinion on that. But welcome, your first day here. I've covered all those stories, and also I don't like Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom fucking sucks. So we're probably on the same page there. So maybe you'll stick around and we can learn some stuff together. We might hate some of the same people. I just don't worship Donald Trump. All right. Now we'll get to, this time I promise we're getting to actual congressional hearings. Here's Elizabeth Warren yesterday with RFK Jr., who had a really bad day. He also sounds terrible. His breathing into the microphone is tough to listen to, so trigger warning. Whatever's going on with his respiratory system, it's not good. I know he's got some sort of condition, and I don't wish harm on him, so I hope he makes a full recovery, but it's hard to listen to sometimes.
I've already said this. I'm happy to make the deals available, except for proprietary.
Oh, sorry. Bean, thanks for joining the Dollar Train, as well as IMFRCD. Appreciate that. Did I miss any here? I got Lindsay's. And Leslie said, appreciate your hard work, Jay and Jen. Thank you very much. Got him. All right, we'll start this over.
I've already said this. I'm happy to make the deals available, except for proprietary information and trade secrets, which when you pass the...
Now, what he's talking about here is he has had negotiations with pharmaceutical companies, and there are proprietary... I think he's actually right about this, for the record. There are proprietary secrets that are involved in those negotiations, and he hasn't made those public because then the pharmaceutical companies would probably not negotiate with him if they knew that their secrets and their formulas were going to be exposed publicly. However, fuck Big Pharma, and it is weird having RFK run cover for them over and over and over again. And specifically what they're talking about here is RFK and the Trump administration keep making up this, or telling this lie that Trump RX has cut prices by 600%, which of course isn't even possible mathematically. They're not paying us to take those drugs. And Trump RX is not cheaper than a lot of other places. Like GoodRx consistently outperforms Trump RX. So does your local pharmacy. Trump RX is a place for name brand drugs, and he has negotiated some lower drug prices for things like GLPs that are found exclusively on Trump RX, but generally there's a generic that's cheaper anyways.
I will hold you to that, Mr. Secretary, because if these deals with Big Pharma are so great for Americans, then we should be able to see what promises have been made.
You have the power to make this deal yourself. Why don't you do that? Why did you? We did this because you refused to do it.
I think what we've got is Trump University.
You have a lot more power to negotiate than we do.
Stakes.
We got the lowest prices in history.
By healthcare costs, and you and Donald Trump are actually making the problem worse. The American public deserves better.
Millions of people who are using Trump RX disagree with you. I said the millions of people who are using Trump RX
they got
disagree
a better
with you.
than 1 out of 4 chance of paying more at Trump RX than they would if they went to Costco. That's not much of a deal for the American people.
Not on branded drugs.
Oh, so your answer is Americans should just not take prescription
We are
drugs?
directing people. We will be directing people to the generics, to the cheapest available. But a lot of doctors prescribe the brands, and we're giving them massive reductions in the brands.
So those mass discounts.
Now, for the record, what this allowed, the trade-off here, and I'm not going to necessarily criticize this deal. The Trump administration made a deal with these pharmaceutical companies where the pharmaceutical companies would lower their price and they would be able to get access through Trump RX. I'm not exactly sure all the kickbacks they're getting. They obviously got a tax cut, but they are setting records. They are making record profit off of this. So even by lowering their price, which sometimes can happen, if you're selling a product and not a lot of people can afford it, and you lower that price and suddenly more people can afford it, it's possible to make more money, which looks like what has happened here. So the pharmaceutical company and the Trump administration found this little pocket that works for them, and they've negotiated a lower price on some of these prescription drugs that are name brand, and they're both, it's a win-win scenario. But the way that they're pitching this is if they are lowering prices for Americans and that Trump RX is cheaper than other places just simply isn't true. It just is for like a handful of drugs.
Massive. Are that people can pay
600%.
600%. They can pay hundreds of dollars
or more
on Trump RX. Or they
you cannot save 600%. Thank you. There you go. Finn said it. Oh, Kevin, say a drug costs $100. Trump claims it will be reduced by 600 to 1,200%. What's that price if it's reduced? Chat. If it's $100 you pay for the drug and we lower the price by 600%, what's the price of that drug now? Let's do 600%. Some of your math's a little off. It's not zero. It's not zero. They pay you. They would pay you. This doesn't make any sense.
They can get it for $12 a pop.
This is the second instance of the secretary denying the public's right to know. That's all that the members on this committee have asked for.
All right, thank you.
Now, at some point, RFK is like, the president just does math differently. That's why he says 600%. You can't just like make up math. They won't even, like, he says something obviously stupid, and they won't even admit it because they're such sycophants. Now, a new stat coming up from this year, 89% of the children that have died in the last year from the flu were unvaccinated. That's pretty good data that says you should get the flu vaccine. When you take the children who died, 89% of those were unvaccinated. That's good data. And this Senator Bennett brings this up, and let's see what RFK has to say.
For decades, parents in this country were able to send their kids to school without worrying about whether they could come home with a dangerous case of the flu or a dangerous case of the measles, as my colleague from South Carolina is saying. Last year, we saw the largest number of children die from the flu in modern history. Are you familiar with that, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, I am.
And have you told President Trump about that? That last year was the largest childhood death of flu in America, in modern America.
Well, that's one of the reasons that FDA just approved 2 new vaccines for influenza A.
What do we do about that, anti-vaxxers? We do this whole anti-vax campaign now across the world, by the way. It's not limited just to the United States. Now we got measles outbreaks. More people are dying than ever from the flu. And their response to that from the anti-vaxxers is to approve 2 new vaccines. And people that were vaxxed also got the flu. Yeah, but they didn't die, Chris, you dumb motherfucker. How are you wrong about everything? Other people who get the flu are vaccinated. Yeah, and then they don't die. And the ones that don't have more severe symptoms. That's how vaccines work. You silly, silly sausage. 89% of the children that died were unvaccinated. That's good data. It's such good data that the response from anti-vax RFK was to produce 2 new vaccines. Weird. Isn't that weird how they got into power and suddenly they're relying on science?
And influenza B.
Because you would agree that last year was the worst year on record in terms of flu deaths in modern history, not in the old days. Not
right.
In those.
In the old days, we were having hundreds of thousands.
You're right. Of course. Do you agree that 89% of the children who died from flu were unvaccinated?
I don't know the exact number.
That is the exact number, Mr. Kennedy, and it was, I think of interest to a lot of people in America.
Faster robots is what we need. That's right. That'll fix it. Nin said my weekly dues. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Cindy, thanks for joining the Dollar Train, and Did I miss any other ones? I don't think.
That you took down the communications from HHS on the flu, the importance of getting a vaccine when you first became the secretary. And I just wondered whether you regret having done that. You're now saying that you're approving vaccines for the flu.
I approve lots of vaccines. I've spent $1 billion, authorized $1 billion, developing new vaccines, including a universal flu vaccine.
So are you know...
Flu vac-
Sounds pretty pro-vaccine to me. What do we do about that? Suddenly they're spending a lot of money on vaccines. All the rhetoric, and like, you can't blame RFK for all of this, but you certainly can blame the anti-vax movement in this country, which is one of the dumbest fucking movements that has ever existed. It's how a movement that says put you and your children and everybody else at more risk of death because there's such things as vaccine injuries. It's legitimately the dumbest fucking movement I've ever seen in my life. And it led to Trump. Like, your dumbest fucking friend who doesn't, like, did all their research on Facebook led to this. And now we've got diseases all over the world. And it's not just here in the United States. Like, the rhetoric and the propaganda that comes out of the United States affects other countries. And so we literally have outbreaks of diseases that for a long time were pretty much under control. You don't think it matters that we're pulling money from USAID, making sure people are vaccinated? You don't think that has anything to do with it? For God's sakes, the Trump administration's excuse for all of this, for the measles outbreak and for the increase in flu, is what? It's literally immigration. They're blaming people from other countries who don't have vaccines for causing this outbreak while hiring an anti-vaxxer like RFK to run HHS. It's dumb upon dumb upon dumb, and then the dumb upon dumb upon dumb fucks dumb upon dumb upon dumb, and they make a child which is like dumb to the 16th power. This is so fucking stupid. We get what we deserve, I guess. Anti-vaxxers just should have been shunned. We shouldn't have taken them seriously. They shouldn't have been promoted on Rogan's podcast. You guys need to own this.
Well, last year, the flu vaccine had something like a 20% efficacy. So having these single antigen vaccines is not serving the public interest. The Cochrane collaboration said they simply don't work.
For the record, Mr. Secretary, then I assume you no longer believe that.
I would like to point out too that, and I don't know if that number is correct. I tried to find that. I don't know where he's coming up with the 20% efficacy rate of a single antigen vaccine, but 20% is still better than zero. Like, 20% protection is better than zero. And this is what's weird thing about these anti-vaxxers. That's the argument. Oh, it's not that effective, so I'll do something less effective. Brilliant. That's fucking brilliant.
The flu vaccine is destroying children's brains, that there's zero evidence that the flu vaccine prevents any hospitalizations or any deaths, because today you're here agreeing that the vast majority of kids that died from the flu were people without vaccines, and you're saying that you're now approving vaccines.
We're making sure that we follow the science, Senator.
Well, I hope you'll follow the science, because that's what put us in the position 30 years ago of essentially having measles declared at an end in the United States of America.
Well, many nations have lost their elimination status, including Canada, the UK, a lot of Europe this year.
Yeah, there's a bunch of dumb fucks all over the world. Thanks, RFK. I'm not the only dumb fuck. Then we got Senator Welch here, and we're going to get back to the vaccine prices, because that was kind of a hot topic here. Here's Senator Welch and RFK in real time denying numbers, just like I don't believe in numbers.
The front page of Trump RX says it has, quote, the world's lowest prices on prescription drugs. So I want to do a comparison about our prices versus prices, say, in Germany. And we have a chart here. This one drug, this is for infertility, $10 cheaper in Germany than here. Another one for diabetes and heart problems, $88 cheaper in Germany. Diabetes, $116. Another diabetes drug, $122. Autoimmune conditions, $1,653 cheaper in Germany. Another drug, really important for stunted growth in children, $2,723 cheaper. I mean, do you dispute any of these figures?
We currency and adjust the prices. So
you what?
We currency adjust the prices.
What? Yeah, that's what they did too. That's what that chart showed. It was in U.S. dollars, so it's adjusted for currency.
So we're getting the lowest prices in the world.
So you're saying my chart is wrong?
Yeah, I'm saying it's apples and
Stuart, literally, we're not talking about Trump. We're talking about RFK here.
oranges. Yeah.
I really don't get that. We check what the price is. I mean, it's $2,700 in apples more if you buy that autoimmune, that prescription drug here than there. I mean, the point here is...
It is incredible to hear the Trump administration tell American citizens that they are paying less than other countries when they are just not.
Trump RX was sold as the cheapest prices. Our research shows it challenges that, unfortunately.
It also challenges what Trump said. Like, Trump has been consistently saying that we pay more than every other country. That didn't change. RFK is pathetic. Like, he's not that dumb. Like, he knows. Maybe the brain worm's really coming out. You might be right about that. All right. This was interesting. So this is two different interactions where RFK spent the entire time citing two studies. He'll name them here, but he cites these two studies repeatedly throughout this hearing. And Senator Cassidy then gets his staff, obviously, to look it up while he's speaking. And it turns out RFK is a liar.
Actually done a real study that answers that question. It's called Guyer, Guyer 2000.
Now, sorry, the question that they're asking here is there's this study about specifically the measles. And what the Guyer study says is that before there was a vaccine for the measles, we did see like a significant reduction in deaths from the measles, but that's because of acceleration in treatment for the measles. We didn't see, like, people were still getting the measles, and then you had some level of herd immunity in some places. But what the Guyer study concludes is that, and I don't remember when the measles vaccine was, I think it was like in the 50s. Prior to that, in the early 1900s, it was a real problem. It was killing people. We learned all about different types of treatment. We learned more about the measles in general, and eventually developed a vaccine. And the Guyer study says that about 80% there was an 80% reduction in deaths from the measles before the vaccine. And then when the vaccine showed up, it basically completely eliminated it. So these arguments aren't counter to each other. This is another like shifty fucking thing that these anti-vaxxers do, where they're like, oh, actually, our treatment was more effective than the vaccine. Who cares? That doesn't change anything. The treatment plus the vaccine essentially eliminated measles. The treatment didn't eliminate it itself. The vaccine, obviously, I mean, we would have seen. It's hard to go. You can't go back in time and like replay it. But none of that matters. But this is what anti-vaxxers do to you. This is how they make their arguments. It doesn't make any fucking sense. If you were somebody said this in the chat, so I'm stealing this from whoever said it, but like if you were going to go out and you know that like somebody was going to have a bow and arrow, they were going to shoot you with a bow and arrow, and they said, you can cover 80% of your body with armor, and you're like, cool. And then they're like, actually, the other 20%, you put on a helmet. And that's the other 20% of your body. You're like, of course, you're going to put on the helmet. You're going to cover that other 20%. What kind of argument would it be to be like, don't put on the helmet? Because it's like most of the work's already done. 80% of your body is already covered by that armor. Why would you get the other 20%? That'd be a really dumb fucking answer, right? Of course you want 100%. So this anti-vax argument doesn't make sense. It's just that he made a fortune off of this. This anti-vax movement from RFK allowed him to sue a bunch of drug manufacturers, and essentially what he sued them for was that they didn't list like the effects, and they didn't accurately, or they were not very careful about understanding the effects and the side effects of vaccines. They weren't honest about vaccine injuries, and they should have been sued. That's great. I'm all for suing big pharma when they lie about the effects or if they don't do their due diligence with a vaccine. That doesn't mean you should get rid of vaccines. This is the height of stupidity. And so he's citing these studies that basically say that science, like medicine was advancing and we were learning how to treat and take care of measles, and so we didn't need the vaccine, which is not what the study cites.
And it says that the 80% mortality in chronic disease that took place, in mortalities from chronic disease that took place in the 20th century, that almost none of it was attributable to vaccination. It was attributable to hygiene, to sewer plants, to better water supplies, to engineering that got oranges.
I have to interrupt you. What was the CDC paper you said attributed improvements in longevity to sewer treatment, for example, not vaccines?
Imagine looking at that guy as the picture of health we should all emulate, especially after all the roadkill in toilet seat stores.
I'm looking for that on ChatGPT, and it says it doesn't exist. So what is that?
It's called Geyer. The lead author is Geyer, G-U-I-E-R. There's another one that came out in 1977 that was a required reading in virtually every medical school that says the same thing. And actually,
who's the author of that one?
That one was called McKinley and McKinley.
McKinley and McKinley. That one is not CDC, according to ChatGPT.
That's not. The Geyer is CDC. And Johns Hopkins.
Senator Hess.
Yes. All right, now, so he got the names of the studies. Now he's going back and he has the studies up there. Jeremy said I missed most of the show waiting for the YouTube link, but here's some money for faster robots. Thanks, Jeremy.
And just speaking as a doctor, just to close the conversation, thank you for giving Geyer's name. I've looked up the article. The quote is, thus vaccination does not account for the impressive declines in mortality seen in the first half of last century. The reductions in vaccine-preventable diseases, however, are impressive. I'll condense. In the early 1920s, there were about 500,000 annual cases before the introduction of the measles vaccine in the 60s. Because of vaccines, these deaths have been virtually eliminated. So that's the complete context.
I was talking about mortality, Senator.
That's what they're saying. The deaths have been virtually eliminated.
Okay. So hygiene, cleaner water, more sanitary conditions, that led to less deaths, which makes perfect sense. And then the vaccine basically eliminated the deaths. That is not an argument to not be vaccinated. You can judge a nation by how they treat their elders. Yeah, we put ours in office and let them fuck everything up.
Okay. Again, speaking as a physician, I will say I looked up the McKinley articles. There was 3.5 million cases of measles per year before the vaccine came along, and about 550 deaths. And then the vaccine took those to less than 100 and like 0 deaths. So the efficacy of the Macaulay paper was written before for events before 1950, which is before the vaccine came out. But then the vaccine came out, and that's when cases went from 3.5 million down to near 0, and deaths went to 0 from 550 a year. So a tremendous impact of the vaccination. Senator.
By the way, this is an actual doctor. Joe Friday, I appreciate your deep dives right here, and I appreciate your ability to copy and paste. But could you, if you're going to spam the chat, could you be on subject, please? We're trying to have a conversation here. All right, last thing before we go, I wanted to cover a little bit of Howard Lutnick. If you remember, last time Howard Lutnick was before Congress, he lied about the amount of times he had spent with Jeffrey Epstein. He said he went to his house one time for 5 minutes, knew he was evil, and he and his wife looked at each other and said, never again will we be back. And then like 2 years later, they went to Epstein Island for Christmas with their kids, and they spent lots of time with Jeffrey Epstein. He was lying about that entire story. But first, I wanted to play this clip for no reason whatsoever other than I saw it and it made me laugh. Get this a load. I think he doesn't. I want to preface this. I'm not sure he knows exactly where the sound is coming from, and I would like to posit that maybe the sound is coming from the rest of the Trump cabinet.
The worst thing I learned when I went into government is the sucking sound of how many people try to suck off of the U.S. government. I mean, it's so demoralizing to watch that stuff. Look, we are here.
As always, just wanted to show that there's no context for that. But here we are first. This is Senator Shaheen, who I believe is from New Hampshire, and who has been deeply affected by the tariff war that Trump, for no reason, put on Canada. It has really hurt border town, like northern border states, with tourism and also with construction, with liquor sales, and she wanted to bring that up. And Howard Lutnick just never has answers for this, because Howard Lutnick's in this administration for one reason and one reason only: to lie for the president and make hundreds of millions of dollars off of tariff refunds.
Last year, according to the World Travel and Tourism Council, the United States saw a 5.5% decline in international visitors. We were the only major economy to see any decline. In my home state of New Hampshire, tourism is the second largest industry, both by revenue, and it supports 70,000 jobs. Canada has long been our largest share of foreign visitors, but...
Sorry to cut that off. Dwayne, the vaccine is not mandated. Shut the fuck up. There's no nationwide vaccine mandate. You're crying about a problem that doesn't exist.
Last year, we saw a 30% drop in Canadian tourism, largely due to the loss of trust and goodwill because of this administration's rhetoric around Canada.
Where I live, we've had about a 25% drop in tourism from Canada. I live in Arizona, and we've had a bunch of people not want to come back because of Donald Trump's rhetoric, but also because they don't trust our government anymore. So, like, my local economy has lost millions of dollars for a nonsensical trade war.
Secretary Lutnick, last week, you said about Canada's economic strategy, and I quote, "They suck." I believe your spokesperson then said this was about Canada's economy leeching off of the U.S. How does insulting our closest ally and neighbor help the businesses in my state of New Hampshire and states all across this country who are hurting because of the loss of Canadian business and tourism?
Canada's economy leans on the incredible $30 trillion economy of America. But
there's no doubt about that, Mr. Secretary.
Cool. This is what they think of you. I just want you to be clear here, or I want to be clear here. The billionaire class, the 1%, this is also what they think about you. They treat Canada the same way they treat you. You should shut the fuck up, be grateful. If they tell you to do something, you do it and you don't complain. That's essentially what he's saying right now. They rely on us, so they should do whatever we say.
But insulting our closest ally and neighbor who...
No, Bobby, this is our government. These people are both members of our government. It's not about trusting Canada's government. And stop trusting any government. Don't trust the government of any country. Just look shit up.
Provides a lot of business. We have a lot of businesses in New Hampshire, small businesses who work on both sides of the border. We have all those Canadian visitors who are not coming because of your comments and comments by the administration. How does that help our economy?
it is outrageous that Canada will not put U.S. spirits on the shelf. It is insulting.
Wait, but we won't put theirs. Like, we tariffed theirs. It's insulting that Canada is playing by the rules that we set. Like, we attack Canada, they attack back, and now it's insulting. This is legitimately, this is how they view you. And for you Republicans, this is how you view everybody else in the world too, and it's sick. This is not a smart way to run a country. The Canadians don't want anything to do with us right now. They hit us with retaliatory tariffs, and we're like, it's not fair that you did what we did.
It is.
And disrespectful to America. That
it's disrespectful.
And
They hurt my feelings.
An interest in a company that has American spirits. And they won't do it because of the insults from this president and comments like yours. So I want to
Somebody mute Joe Friday. Joe, I gave you a warning. Just knock that off.
go on to another question.
But can I have just one small comment, which is dairy is treated so badly, and your state cares about dairy, and we are trying desperately to get them to live to the deal that they have on USMCA.
Dairy is not treated poorly. So in Canada, in order to protect their own dairy industry, there's like a certain amount that they're able to import from the United States. And once they've imported too much, and I don't know what the levels are, then the tariff is like 200 or 300%. It's a massive tariff. They never hit that. We never hit that ceiling. This is, again, just another lie they're telling you. It's not treated poorly. Tariffs are used to protect your own economy. We do that. We do that with Chinese electric vehicles to protect Tesla and GM and Ford. You do that to protect yourself. But Canada still relies on importing dairy products from the United States. They don't produce enough dairy for themselves. And so in order for them to have the dairy that they need, but also so that they can protect their own dairy industry, there is a threshold that if they meet, the tariff is 200%. Now, keep in mind that tariff obviously is probably never going to be paid because nobody's going to pay 200 or 300% tariff. But that would be paid by Canadians, not Americans. And I think we looked at this last time. In like the last 30 years, I don't think it's ever been hit. Like, I don't think they've ever hit that threshold. It never gets hit. So it's not disrespectful. It's not unfair. It's not even a thing that is happening. It's a hypothetical scenario that could happen if they were importing more dairy from the United States and it was hurting their own businesses.
And stop treating our dairy farmers so poorly, and your state cares about that, and we are fighting for that.
We do.
No, they're not. They haven't changed anything.
But we are not going to get agreement when we keep insulting people. When we have allies and partners, we should try and work with them, not insult them. And I find your rhetoric insulting to the people in my state who are working so hard to try and ensure that they can do business. I want to move.
Feel free to fact check that if you'd like. Dustin said, moral, Trump is destroying the country and eat the rich. He shouldn't be able to, it shouldn't be this possible for somebody that stupid to destroy the country. I think that's the part that maybe is the most frustrating, is that he's so obviously stupid and so obviously corrupt and so obviously in over his head. But he just has this loyalty to where people will ignore numbers, they'll ignore math, they'll ignore reality to continue to support him. It's incredibly frustrating. Now, here was Senator Van Hollen asking him about lying in front of the Senate with his Jeffrey Epstein connections, and then we'll end it on this.
In terms of responses. And so I am going to go back to requests and letters that were not responded to, because you did say at the last hearing with respect to the Epstein affair that you had, quote, nothing to hide. I assume that is still your testimony today. Is that right, Mr. Secretary?
That is right.
So why have you not responded to the letter that Senator Merkley and I sent following up on the last hearing, asking for documents just to be transparent about the situation and answering the questions that we presented in that letter?
The last time we were together, I agreed and answered every question on that topic with this committee, and I answered each and every topic. I have voluntarily agreed in less than 2 weeks to sit and answer questions on this topic, fully whatever questions are asked of me, voluntarily in less than 2 weeks with your House colleagues. I would ask you if there are any questions that you want me to answer. Please give them to House colleagues.
Why do you lie? Why are you guys sitting up here just cool with Howard Lutnick, who lied on the stand about his connections to Epstein? Why is he still in this administration? How come that isn't disqualifying?
And I am going to answer them all. But I am here today to testify about the budget, and I look forward to discussing the president's budget with you today. But I am volunteering within 2 weeks to answer any and all questions on this topic.
Well, Mr. Secretary, I'm aware of that.
How do I know he lied? Because it's in the documents and he's admitted that he lied, Jeff. God damn, man. This is what's crazy about it. Do you just look it up? Just fucking look it up. You are so beholden to Donald Trump. Everybody knows he lied. He went to Epstein's island. He's now admitted it. It's in the emails. We have the travel itinerary. He lied. He took his wife and his kids to Epstein Island. and this is exactly what I was talking about with Donald Trump. It should not be this easy for one guy, Donald Trump, to force you to be this goddamn stupid. And it's not even about Trump. This is about Lutnick, but his proximity to Trump takes you to a place where you're just like, I will not believe anything bad about anybody that is Donald Trump or anybody adjacent to Donald Trump. Everything is a lie that doesn't fit my narrative. You should be embarrassed that you even just said that. You should be embarrassed that you don't know that.
We presented you with questions and requests from this committee that have not been responded to. So we're going to have to continue to pursue that. We will follow closely what happens in that proceeding. I hope you will provide them with the materials that we hope to secure here as well. And again, the reason I'm asking this question at this hearing is because we didn't get a response to the letter. No response.
Why is he not responding? There's nothing. There's literally nothing. And this is where we'll wrap things up today. But the frustration, again, is not to say that Donald Trump and this administration are the only corrupt people that exist. It's also not to say that there aren't Democrats who have done corrupt things that people defend. I'm just asking you to do what's right for your country and drop your fucking ego. It's not great for me. Like, I supported Harris. She lost. I thought she was going to win. It's not great for me. If you went back through my records, you're gonna see me showing clips of Eric Swalwell and me saying like, "Oh, I really liked that Eric Swalwell. It turns out he's a piece of shit." You just turn on him. It's not that hard. It really is not that hard to just admit that you were wrong and turn on them. It's not that hard to admit that it's fraud. But I've never seen anything like this in all my years of politics, and I've been in politics for a long time. And I've been in your party. I've never been a member of the Democratic Party ever in my whole life. I worked for the GOP. I'm a registered Republican. However, just again, I'm only a Republican because of where I live, and it's the only way for me to participate in primaries. Fuck the Republicans. Fuck Andy Biggs, my congressman. Mediocrity is too high of a bar for him. But holy fucking Christ. Can you guys pull your heads out of your asses or Trump's ass or whatever the fuck you have to do to start being honest about what's happening? This is a real fucking problem. He is selling out the country. It's not even policy at this point. He's selling out our country. He's making billions of dollars. He is forfeiting your future and the future of your children. He's burying us in debt. He's destroying all of our alliances with all of our allies. And at the end of his presidency, he and his merry band of dumb fucks are all just going to fuck off to somewhere in the Middle East where they're going to live. They've like created this new entity called the Board of Peace, and they're just going to be in charge of shit now. And oh, by the way, he's going to take his currency that competes with the US dollar, and he's going to take that with him too. It is unfucking believable that human beings on planet Earth can still watch what's happening with Donald Trump and be like, I like this guy. This is working really well. This is going great. Nothing, literally fucking nothing is going great. Nothing is even going well. I can give you some credit from the first time he was president, like the first 2 years. There were a lot of things that I didn't like, and I didn't think things were going as well as you probably thought they were. But you can look at it and you can be like, okay, well, this worked and this worked and this worked. Like, yeah, you know, we saw wages growing a little bit. We saw inflation was pretty steady. We started to see like some stagnation in our economy before COVID. COVID happened. I don't blame him for COVID. I blame him for some of his response. Like, we can forgive that, but this, fucking this. How is it that you are still this human being? Literally everything is going poorly. There's not one thing you can point to that is real, that is going well. I'll give you 4 minutes. MAGA, can you tell me one motherfucking thing that's going well in this country right now? Oh, wait, I'll check comments real quick. Can you just give me one? Getting rid of the penny. Okay, I forgot about that. Leslie said I clean Airbnb. I clean Airbnbs in Sedona. Bookings are way down. See what happens? I ask them to give me one good thing, and they just talk about liberals. Your entire ideology is just shit you hate. What an easy thing to do to be a Republican politician. The people that vote for you just hate liberals, so you don't actually have to do anything. The border. What about the border? What's going well at the border? Border flows low. How does that help? Gas is down from $6 to $5. I got bad news for you. Gas wasn't $6 when Trump took office. What are you talking about? I can be racist at work again. All right, you got one. All right, there's one. You're right about that. Food is free? Yeah. Rescheduled weed is a slight W. They're working on that. All right, okay, there's one. Got one. Rescheduling weed. I like that. No, I'm just wondering what's going well. Like, why is that going well? Why is the border, like the flow at the border doesn't necessarily mean it's going well. That means nobody wants to come here. I don't know why that's good. I live in Arizona. Like we're having a hard time filling jobs. People that come here legally, by the way, that have like work permits, they're afraid to come here. I don't think the border's going well. Anyways, let me check one last time. Lee said to knock out today's goal in exchange for the education. Thank you, Lee. We did knock out that gift goal. W Lee in the chat for knocking that out. I will be back tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, usually 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here wherever you're watching. If you're on Twitch or on YouTube, will you check real quick just to make sure you're following or subscribed? And if you'd like to be a paid subscriber and join us for our members-only events, you can do that on YouTube and Twitch as well. If you have a Amazon Prime account and you haven't used your free subscription, one of our mods could help you out and show you how to do that. You can use Jeff Bezos' money to subscribe to our channel. While you're here for the last couple minutes, like the video. If you see our content online, engage with it. We did get banned on TikTok, and that sucks. That did fuck us over a little bit. If we're just being honest, that's a couple thousand people that don't watch every single day. And hopefully they'll find their way over to YouTube and Twitch, or TikTok will get their shit together and unban us or give us access on our backup account. One of those things may happen. In the meantime, we have merch in our bio. I also do Cameo if you'd like to join us there. The Discord is free. If you'd like an invite to the Discord, send Jen or Mod a message, or Jen Dub1 on Discord, and she can give you an invite to the Discord. That's always free. There's tons of stuff going on there. If you just need some friends to talk to about politics, you want to keep up on current events, if you'll TikTok drama, it's all there in the Discord and always free to join. Other than that, mods, great job. Thank you guys so much. I do have the best mods in the game, and I definitely don't give them enough credit. They put up with a lot of shit from the chat, and I appreciate all you guys. Jen, good luck on your date tonight. I hope it goes really well. Do you have anything to say to that?
No, you don't.
I do. Yeah, I do. I want a good story tomorrow.
Well,
I hope it goes either really well or really poorly.
Or really bad, one or two.
Yeah, if it's average, I'm not going to like it.
All right, well, good.
All right. Everybody, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Take care of yourselves. Go outside and touch grass if you can't touch grass. Smoke grass if you can't smoke grass or touch grass. Best of luck to you. Find a healthy habit. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to your friends. Say good things about yourself. Drink water. Eat as healthy as you possibly can and try and enjoy the rest of your day. Tune out politics occasionally. Reset. And until I see you again, take care of yourselves. Stay cute and cool. And have a great summer.